Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, the reply to comments 62. This is the 62nd video in which I reply to your comments, hence the title. Now the reason I make these videos is because I don't have time to reply to people's comments by text, but I receive so many comments from you and I feel obliged to reply to you because you, my viewers, take the time to give me the feedback by writing your comments in the sections underneath my videos, and all my videos have open comment sections so far. Now and I really appreciate you doing that, so I really feel I have a duty to respond back to you. Now I don't have time to type replies all the time, so this is why I do these comments videos. And now you may think to yourself, well, I only want to reply to one comment, Ben. I'm not going to watch a 9-hour video because this is a very long video just to get a reply to one comment. Well, guess what? You don't have to, because what I'll do is underneath the comment I'm replying to, I will put, for example, in this first hour of the video, I'm going to put a reply saying, thanks for your comment. It will be answered approximately within the first hour of the upcoming reply to comments video. And then after that, it'll be second hour, third hour, etc. So the longest you're going to have to watch is 1 hour. I mean, just put it on in the background or something, you know. Now, secondly, my comments reply videos are not 9 hours long anymore. They used to be, but they've become a lot shorter in recent years because I do them more often. I try to do them every three weeks or so rather than every 2 months like I used to do them. Another thing is, I should point out that you guys actually enjoy my reply to comments videos. In fact, I know a lot of you who watch them all the way through from start to finish, regardless of, you know, not just to have your own comments answered. And indeed, some of you don't even watch them even when you don't make comments. So that's another reason why I do them. So with no further ado, let's get on with the comments on this particular set. So these are all the comments since the last comments reply videos, and the first one is reply to comment 61. Gary Robinson, evening Ben mate. He put that on there straight away. Hugo Rune says on reply to comment 61, as Gary said, looking forward to this. I had so many comments, edit 13 comments in all, from you in my emails. Remind me of my bullshit. Oh, you never do bullshit, Hugo, you don't. Hugo Rune then says here on the same video, it was the nurses who grasped me up, excuse the pun, who felt threatened by my honesty. Hugo, I'm sorry about that, mate. I really am. I mean, nurses can be absolute bitches. They really can. I've known quite a few in my time. Some of them are really nice people, but unfortunately a lot of them are not. And Gary says underneath, that was really low of them, mate. Get yourself some magic mushrooms. I'm serious. Well, don't overdo it. Don't send him on the same trip your wife went on. I mean, you know, because you have to work your way up to something as powerful as ayahuasca. Reply to comment 61, Hugo Rune, is a timestamp here. Let's have a look. 1:12:50. Oh, they create Armageddon News, the truth about the end days. Whoa! Oh, what's this? This looks interesting. Oh, right, because that was the subject of my talk, isn't it? That was the subject of my talk at the Basis Project conference, which you've seen. I've actually uploaded since then. Hugo says, Armageddon News, End Days, Apocalypse, Angels, Nephilim, laughing my ass off. What utter twaddle! Oh, right. But I will continue watching. This is very entertaining. Edit the Bible. Sorry, that's my main point. Utter shite! I invite their God to strike me down dead. Sorry, Monty Python's image in my mind. Sorry, not religious, and above all all of the above is religious. More later, I have no doubt. All right, well, Hugo, obviously you're not the Messiah. You're a very naughty boy, and well, I wouldn't go outside for a little while without a lightning conductor. But no, you see, I'm actually, you know, I myself am not religious either. Doesn't mean I wouldn't call myself an atheist in the same way you are. You're obviously very much an atheo-materialist skeptic, and I'm not. However, in fact, this is actually coming up in my Basis Project video, which you probably watched. A lot of the religions are actually creations of the Illuminati occupied society. The exceptions being, I think there are several that are pre-Illuminatis. A lot of indigenous shamanic religions are pre-Illuminati, as is Judaism and Hinduism. All the others, I think, are creations of Illuminati occupied society. But they all point towards similar stories, and it's this comparative mythology that interests me so much. And the reason I think they point towards, because they converge on certain points, indicates that they may be based on reality, on something real, an objective, an archetype which is objective in reality. We have here on reply to comment 61, Louis James, great vid, Ben, as always. I would love to see an Art Bell style radio show with you hosting it. That would be amazing. Well, Louis, believe it or not, you can, because that already exists. It's called HPANWO Radio. It's very easy to get to. Just go to the HPANWO TV blog. You'll see a link to HPANWO Radio in the links column. Yeah, so that's simple as that. And it is very Art Bell-like, I must say. Art was one of the people who inspired me. And Dark Corners said, agreed, I find Ben's voice very therapeutic. A radio show would be great. Well, Dark Corners, I can only repeat what I just said to Louis James. Go to HPANWO Radio. It already exists. Same video, Tricky Woo. That's a good name. Has anyone heard anything from TBR? He seemed to go dark. Hopefully he's okay and returns to enlighten us and make us laugh. Thanks, Ben. Thanks. TBR is Thomas Barden-Rees, I assume you mean. Thomas actually is still on. He's still on. Last time I checked, he was on Odyssey, and I put a comment on his video, and he did answer me. My browser's a bit slow. Just a sec. Maybe because I've got OBS running. Whoops, Thomas. Because I mean, he did do a video. He hasn't done a video for a few months, I know. Right, let's just see what he's up to. Here he is, Thomas Barden-Rees. Yeah, his channel's still on Odyssey. I think he's been banned from YouTube. No, he did a video a month ago actually. Edward Dutton's wife calls me a nut. Oh God, I think it's one of his typical drama ones. I'll share this with you so you can see it. Here.
So let me today tell you about Edward Dutton's wife calling me a nutter.
He looks a bit scruffy there.
Why I hate Edward Dutton. I'm going to tell you why I
did put a comment on here, and I think he replied.
I'm going to tell you why I hate my brother, and I'm also going to tell you why I am sick to death of absolutely fucking everything. Why I hope that the world gets blown up and everyone dies, and why I want someone to be the back of the fucking head. Let me begin with...
I think you get the point, guys, don't you? I think you get the point. Thomas is not a happy bunny. Since then, he's not made any more videos. and I did put a comment on there, though, and I just said, I hope you're all right, mate. And he replied very politely, so he's still around. And he's answered my emails as well. I've written to him a couple of times, but I think he's just taking time out. He's taking time out from the whole YouTube sphere, I think. Same video, Gary Robinson. Ben, mate, Star Wars was not inspired by Hindu Vedas, I'm afraid. It started out as a rewrite of Flash Gordon. Oh, right. I know that George Lucas was inspired by Frank Herbert's Dune, and there are similarities between those two stories, as you know, because I did my review of the Denis Villeneuve adaptation. George Lucas and Gary Kurtz met with the... I'm not going on screen share, no I haven't. With the Flash Gordon copyright owners, but weren't able to secure movie rights, so made their own adaptation. I'd love to see Colin's Star Wars presentation, so I can fact check it. No one can F with me when it comes to Star Wars. Cheers. Well, Gary, hopefully that Miles will upload Colin's presentation pretty soon, because he did the presentation at Bases, and indeed it came into the conversation I had with him. Now, there are several really good adaptations of Flash Gordon. There were some 1930s black and white TV kind of suspense serials which are really, really good. I used to love them when I was a kid. Not that I'm that old, they were repeats. There's also a fantastic adaptation in the 80s. It came out in the early 80s with Queen doing the soundtrack. It was a little bit sort of camp, but it was very, very good. It's become quite famous, actually, I think. reply to comment 61. Gary says to... it says here, in reply to Hugo, evidence of the afterlife can be found when you drink ayahuasca. Now that's true. A lot of people say that they have almost spontaneous mediumship experiences when they're under the influence of ayahuasca and several other substances. So that's true. I don't know myself. I've never taken ayahuasca or any. Well, I have taken a mind-altering drug once. It was called Strongbow cider. No, not really. It was basically I smoked something. It was cannabis, actually. I wrote some articles. I've done it twice. Excuse me. Getting cough. Hang on. I'm definitely going to be coughing. Pardon me. Same video. Gary Robinson. Hi Ben, I'm just watching Tony Topping on GB News, and I have to say he comes across really well. He's showing some of his UFO footage. Seeing someone like Tony on mainstream news light certainly does suggest we could be edging towards a soft disclosure. Absolutely, Gary. I mean, GB News is mainstream news light. I think that's you're being a bit generous to it there. It's very much a fringe platform, but it's enormously popular. I mean, they're getting viewing figures above the BBC now on some of their programmes. It says an awful lot. I thought Tony's interview on GB News was excellent. He did a good one on Talk. He did a good one on Talk Radio as well a couple of years ago with Mark Dolan, no relation to Richard, which was very good as well. Tony can actually handle himself quite well on the media. He is media savvy. He's a good speaker. The problem is he sometimes ends up on these really good channels where he gets a fair hearing, but other times he ends up with people who are just out to treat him like he's an idiot. The one he did with James Whale, and I've not actually watched it yet, but Tony basically rage quits. And we know James Whale is basically a shit stirrer. He's a shock jock. He can do civilised interviews about UFOs because he had Timothy Good on once, and they did a very good interview. But he just basically winds Tony up and Tony walks out. Another example is, of course, those horrible documentaries Tony did with the BBC, where he was treated really badly. It was a shameful piece of work. I thought I advised him not to do it. I advised him not to go on it. He was actually asked to take part in a documentary that I was also asked to take part in, and I refused. I refused to go on it, and he did. And I think he came to me after and basically said, you know, you were right. I shouldn't have done it. So you've got to be selective who you go for, I think. And so I'd say to Tony, you know, good luck if you can get on to people like GB News or Talk Radio and they treat you really well. But James Whale, the BBC, forget it, mate. You don't have anything to do with those bastards. Gary Robinson says, oh, underneath, stop the press. The GB News presenter said to Tony Topping that it seems to me we're on the verge of some sort of announcement. He also said, it's more mental not to believe in UFOs than it is to believe in them. It's coming, Ben. I think so, Gary, yeah. It's actually getting to the point where literally the skeptics are starting to sound crazier than we are. They really are. I mean, Mick West is just, oh, goodness me. I mean, I think he's gone quiet lately, I think, and he's not tweeting as much as he used to. He hasn't uploaded a YouTube for a while, because I think he sees the writing on the wall. And he really can no longer defend his position, and he knows it. And Gary says here, underneath that, Ben, mate, we need to get you an agent, because I reckon you would be good on these shows talking about UFOs and the paranormal. Hey, Gary, thank you. I'm willing to do that. If I won't go on the BBC or ITV or anything mainstream. I'll go on sort of Vice downwards we're talking about here, I think, when it comes to mainstreamness. But yeah, I'm quite happy to discuss these things. And as for having an agent, well, it could be, that my time has come. Well, you know what you can do. Buy the Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure. That's the one. I won't get it out now. You know what it looks like. That's the one to get. I'd say that it's good to think those books are about to become bestsellers, isn't it? Because I didn't know how hot that iron was when I struck it, but it really was hot. And we have here Gary Robinson again on the same video. In regards to Richie Allen's comments about Kev Baker, I'm pretty sure it was one of his phone-in shows from June. There were only 2, if I remember, so if you have to skip through them on his Podomatic page, you should be able to find the clip quite quickly. I'm now starting to think that he confused Kev with someone else. I do know that he didn't know Kev enough. He didn't know Kev. I do know that he didn't know Kev, though, because when Charlie Robinson was talking about him, Richie admitted that he didn't know him, but he knew that he was a respected and prolific broadcaster. I really love Richie, not in a gay way, of course not. And although I was shocked when I heard him say that about Kev Baker, I now think that you are right, Ben, when you say he must have confused him with someone else. Cheers. Well, I haven't had a chance to listen to those shows yet, but I will do, Gary, as soon as I can, and I do think so, yeah. It sounds out of character for Richie, very out of character. So we'll see. Anyway, I replied to comment 61, Steve Mumbling. Steve Mumbling, he's still with me, bless him. Gone again, it didn't take that long, did it? Commercial solar power plant, what's this? Is this the video you sent me before? Oh, let's have a look.
This incredible smart cloth removes any scuffs and scratches.
I've got some ads here. There is a skip button, that's lucky. Right. Oh, Australia. It's called this. I'll just let me just screen share it. Risen Energy, Australia's Merredin Solar Farm. Oh wow, it's quite a big thing, isn't it? That's a whopper, isn't it? And we don't need that in the background. Yeah. Now, thing is, Steve, right? Who cleans these things? Who maintains them? Who goes out there and fixes them? Of course, there's a guy there who does it. So it's quite a lot. It's 247 gigawatt hours. 247 gigawatt hours, quite a lot. Yeah, located on 460 hectares. Right, Steve. Yeah. Now, looks very impressive, doesn't it? Like I said, though. Okay, I get the message. As I said to you in the video Planet of the Humans, these are useful supplements to a primary energy source. But can this really seriously replace fossil fuels? Because a lot of people, especially the pro-nuclear brigade within the environmental sphere, such as Mark Linus, George Monbiot, they're actually saying, in that film Pandora's Promise, which I also reviewed, they're saying this cannot be a substitute for what we already have with, for practical reasons to do with engineering and things like that. It can't be a replacement for fossil fuels, not on a large scale. There's various reasons for this to do with the availability of sunlight, and as I said, you've got to go out and clean them regularly. They need a lot of maintenance. So do those wind turbines. They need a hell of a lot of maintenance. That costs money. It makes them less efficient because in terms of economically less efficient, things like that. However, the things I talk about in my energy politics videos, my energy videos, free energy videos, can replace fossil fuels. The pro-nuclear says, well, nuclear fission can do that. Well, maybe, but nuclear fission is a dangerous, obsolete technology. Basis 2022 International Conference and Workshops. Clive Albert says, Ben, hi, where can I find Miles these days? Since he was censored off YouTube, I have no idea where to find him. Thanks. Clive, he's on, and Steve071 has answered here. Try Bases restricted, and the Bases project censored on YouTube, on YT, yeah. And indeed, Clive and Steve, he's active on BitChute and on Brighteon. So, like myself, he's branched out into alt tech, and which everyone has to do these days, if you're not just going to make cat videos and makeup tutorials. Basis 2022 Gary Robinson. Looks really nice there, mate. It looks really nice there, mate. Honestly, Gary, it was wonderful. I loved it. It was fantastic. Same video. Katia Ha has posted some spam, which I'll just delete. There we go. Gary again on Basis 2022. Ben, mate, I have to say you did a really good job of styling it out when you were stripping off and getting whistles from the audience. Good report with the room. Cheers. Yeah, I did. I thought I like to put something. I like to have a little bit of surprises in my talks. Yeah. Hey Ben, my wife. This is Steve again on the same video. My wife went to a peyote ceremony last night. good grief, she's really getting into it, isn't she, Gary? Which was overseen by some native Mexican shamans. She's not given me a full report yet, but she did tell me that it was very intense and she's made a pact with Mother Earth. Wow. That's quite something, Steve. It really is. Excuse me. She seems to be like, this is only a couple of weeks since her ayahuasca experience. So, yeah, she's getting right in there, mate. She'll have to drag you along. You'll have to go along too. Oh, Salem Azat has posted more spam, which I'll remember. I'm getting so much spam these days. It's bloody annoying. Nikola Ivanov also has posted spam. Basis 2022 705 Fanning Fanny. What does that mean? It's not a timestamp. Let's have a look. Fanning Fanny. Oh no, let me just see what you're talking about, mate. Let's just have a look. Right, where are we now? Okay, I'll just have a look. I can't open a new page. Sorry, there's no timestamp here. Right, let's have a look here. Hang on. Oh, hang on. Right.
I ordered it online and it just came and it's a lot of hassle getting it.
You too. And so we go along here and...
nearly at 7:05.
We're getting ready to get some stalls here. You can order tea and coffee from there.
Oh, Fanning. Oh, is it?
That's the gallery where all the masterwork happens. There is Mr.
All right. So I get it.
Along here.
I'll just show you what it is.
I'm fine, thanks, Sandra. Yeah, really good to be here.
Yeah, very good.
It's great to be. Thanks. Likewise. You can order tea and coffee from there.
Here we go. Can you see her?
Shot along here, as you can see. You too.
You can see what she's doing there.
We go along here and.
What is she doing?
We're getting ready to get.
I see that lady there. What the hell is she doing?
Stalls here. You can order tea and coffee from there. That's the.
Yes, Fanning Fanny. I suppose she. That's rather strange, but that does look like what she's doing, doesn't she? Basis 22, Sonara's Ash Tree. That was a very interesting talk, Ben. Thank you, Sonara. Mwah. And I'm giving you a love heart as well as blowing you a kiss. John Nolan, Basis 22. Did you talk to Michael about the Germans, Ben? I didn't. What happened there? Hang on. Alright, did you talk to Michael about the Germans, Michael Shrimpton? I never got the chance, I'm afraid, John. I mean, he would have gone on about it for ages, no doubt. Oh, Bluebeam says here, I am in Germany. Boris talked rubbish on German TV. But that is just all people expect at the time, the worst. All the time, the worst. I wouldn't let any religious cult near my bloodstream. Makes a mess. The Tashomans did it. It's hysterical. All right, Bluebeam. I don't know who the Tashomans are. Tashomans. But, yeah, Boris does talk rubbish whichever country he's in, I'll tell you. Marley Pumpkin says on Basis 2020. Oh, here we go. Yet another garbage video about UFOs. You really are pathetic. Yes, Marley. I know you think my videos are garbage and you think it's pathetic, and you watch every single one of them, don't you? So what does that make you? Israel Diego Rivera, genius to the real genius, says in Basis 2022, Ben Emlyn-Jones is the Maitreya. He looks like those large laughing Buddha statues you find in charity shops and garden centres. Oh, yeah. Gary Robinson. Ben, do you know if Colin's Star Wars talk you mentioned recently is online anywhere? I'm interested to hear it in case it features anything that's new to me. Cheers. Right, Miles hasn't uploaded Colin's video. He hasn't uploaded anyone's except Sandra's so far, recordings from that talk. There may be other recordings of talks Colin's done in other places about the same subject, which you find. If you just Google his name and we'll put his name into YouTube, you should come across them at some point. Stephen True Seeker. Is Miles alright? He seems a little unstable, lol. If Miles is unstable, that means he's alright. If he ever gets stable, you've got to worry. Gary Robinson says on Basis 2022, I was shocked to hear that guy got thrown out for showing the terrible climate change video. I can't criticise because when I am pushed in the wrong way, my temper is quick. That being said, the thing to do would have been to discuss it and not throw the guy out. He must have been there because he was into certain areas of the woo. Now he's going to feel marginalised. Many a time I've lost my wag and wished I'd discussed things and been dignified. In this case, the guy needed educating on the facts. If Miles had let him stay, you guys might have been able to get him on track regards to the fantasy of temperatures. Cheers. Gary, yes, that would have been the way I would have handled it. I think now, the thing is that guy, he didn't actually leave. In fact, I saw him later on sitting in his chair. He was back the following day as well. You do, I think, have to try to keep a calm head and discuss things. Be willing to talk things through with people who are willing to listen. People don't choose their beliefs. They very often when they often profess false beliefs, it's because they themselves have been fooled and they have gone down a bad path. Rationally, they've gone down a false alley. You can't bully and shout and humiliate them out of that bad alley. They'll only go down there deeper. There's actual psychological research that's shown, if people get persecuted for their beliefs, they tend to believe in them even more, whether they're wrong or right. So yeah, I would have handled it very differently. But he did hang around anyway. He didn't go in the end. Gary Robinson says here, I've done my usual trick and commented before listening in full. All right, so no worries, Gary. You can always correct yourself later on, and indeed, yeah, he did hang around afterwards. Gary Robinson said in Basis 2022, Hi Ben, mate. In regards to Star Wars being influenced by Dune, that's what I heard, yeah. The truth, as far as I know, is that George Lucas has never admitted this publicly, although it's obvious that it borrows elements from Dune, which is not a bad thing. Absolutely. In fact, the same goes, I think, for the Carlos Castaneda influence when it comes to the act in Empire Strikes Back, where Luke is on Dagobah. It was only I actually worked that out myself when I read the books of Carlos Castaneda. I read the 4 central books in the Carlos Castaneda collection. Yeah. Gary continues. As I think I mentioned in a recent comment, George and Gary Kurtz originally wanted to make a Flash Gordon movie, but after meeting with the owners of the Flash Gordon IP, they were unable to make a deal. George Lucas and Francis Coppola, his mentor, and the template for Han Solo were huge fans of Kurosawa because of this, the first Star Wars movie is based on the 7 Samurai, in some cases shot by shot. It is similar to the 7 Samurai, yeah, it has similarities, not least because they create this element of the lightsaber, which essentially allows them to bring a sword and sorcery type feel to Star Wars. Because Star Wars is not a science fiction film, it is a space opera, and it has elements of fantasy as well as science fiction. And the lightsaber, of course, is that kind of weapon. This is why A New Hope seems like such a better film than all the others. The Jedi were always Jedi Knights. However, in the original draft of the scripts, they were called the Jedi Bundi, which eventually became the name of beings in the Star Wars universe who are neither good nor bad. In other words, they sit between the Jedi and the Sith. Cheers. All right. Well, I didn't know all that. I mean, I didn't know about the links to Kurosawa. I mean, I know that Francis Ford Coppola was kind of like was a mentor of Lucas. I didn't know he's a template for Han Solo. So that's interesting, isn't it? Yes. So I learned that there's an entire universe connected to Star Wars, and there's a huge amount of detail. There are similarities. Dune is a similar story to Star Wars in a sense. It's an attempt to create almost a medieval fantasy in a futuristic outer space environment. But you see, because the Dune, although it is set in the distant future and it involves spaceships and things like that and other planets, it is essentially the society politically is is feudal, and of course they have things like swords. There's a useful plot device with the body shields, which means that laser guns don't work so well. So people have gone back to old-fashioned sword fighting, which is really great. Basis 2022, Terminus. Very enjoyable watch, thanks. You're welcome, Terminus. Thank you too for watching. It was a great, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Basis 2022, Gary Robinson. In regards to the Star Wars mythology, George Lucas was a student of Joseph Campbell, the American professor who specialized in myths and legends and how the classic archetypes in the storylines affect the reader or viewer. Right, I didn't know he was involved with Joseph Campbell. He helped George to craft Star Wars into something meaningful, which is partly why it was successful. I'm not sure about Carlos Castaneda being an influence. You would have to check that out. But I know the Yoda scene is meant to be about the story that the teacher appears when the student is ready, and also is also true of the Bruce Lee and IP Man, for example. Right, I've not seen those. But there's absolutely no doubt. I mean, there's huge similarities. You read the Carlos Castaneda the quartet, the original quartet, not the post-analysis ones. That is the teachings of Don Juan. And the next three, there was there was one called Journey to Ixtlan, and I think the Different Reality was the last one. I can't remember, but the similarities between those stories and the Yoda Luke interaction on Dagobah is remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. Basis 2022, Gary. P.S. There were no Star Wars books, not in the Lord of the Rings sense. Only ever books that were adaptations of the films. Cheers. I know. They were adapted by Alan Dean Foster. I've read them. I've read the first three, and I've also read Splinter in the Mind's Eye, which is like a spin-off that was never part of a film. But yeah, there were 3 original Star Wars books for each of the original trilogy, and I've read them. I've got copies of them somewhere. I read them over and over. I loved them. I thought they were very good. Writing, adaptations or novelizations. As a writer, it didn't really appeal to me. However, you can see that Foster is actually he puts something creative into simply turning a story that someone else has written into a novel. What's more, Foster has been kept on. He's now quite old, and he's also written the novelizations of the more recent ones. Gary says to Basis 2022, I've got a real Star Wars fan here. There's going to be loads and loads of comments here. In regards to Lando Calrissian in The Empire Strikes Back, Billy D. Williams was in fact hired because African-American Star Wars fans wanted a black actor in Star Wars. Oh, really? That's a shame. I'm pretty sure they didn't get woke about it, though, as this was the 80s. Well, it's obviously not the way they do today, but, I think it's a disappointment. If he was hired for any other reason, he was cast for any other reason than his skill and his ability to fit the character, that would be a disappointment, I think. Gary says, but technically he was hired for diversity. No one else could have played that role, proper legend. Well, as it happened, he is a proper legend, and he did it so well. He did it very well indeed. Because Lando, in the beginning, when he first appears at the end of Empire Strikes Back, he comes up in the final act. He's this very, very ambiguous person, isn't he? You just really don't know. You have no idea what. You have no idea because no one trusts him. There's one point where Leia says, I don't trust him. And Han says, I don't trust him either. Anyway, Gary says here on Basis 2022, the Mon Calamaris, or squid-faced people, was simply one of many random designs created by Stuart Freeborn and his team. Some things made it into the movie and some things didn't. The original toy for the first Mon Calamari character was Squidhead. I think they didn't give them a name. The name Mon Calamari for their planet was thought up by decades later during the Clone Wars, so I'm going to have to be a skeptic in regards to comparing them to the Nomo. Not like me to be a skeptic, I know, cheers. Right. That's Colin's view that they may be based on that. It's possible, but I don't know specifically. Gary says again on Basis 2022, sorry to keep harping on about this, mate, but it's hard for me to hear Star Wars inaccuracies and stay silent. I can confirm without any doubt that John Carpenter never worked with George Lucas and doesn't rate him at all for some reason. All right, I don't remember when I heard that, Gary. If I got that wrong, so be it. The theme of episodes 1 to 9 is family and nothing more. Certainly not an apocalypse. The 3 recent Star Wars films screwed that up after they ditched Lucas's storyline. Episodes 1 to 3 have an underlying storyline of hidden power, which you correctly mentioned. George Lucas has publicly referred to this as the Phantom Menace, hence the name of episode 1. No, the original trilogy is very apocalyptic. Very. It is literally about the battle between the dark, the Sith, and the Jedi, the good, the rebels, and the Empire, on all these different levels, in the levels of the sort of spiritual tradition, and also like in terms of political power. And of course, the rebels win. And there's a very apocalyptic scene at the end, which was, of course, Lucas ruined that. Like he ruined everything with his bloody. He kept going back and fiddling with things, but there you go. He went back and changed things all the time. It's just really. The changes, that's one thing I really don't like, is the way Star Wars was then, once it was finished, he had to go back and keep polishing the cannonball. Oh, I'm going to change this bit, I'm going to change that bit. I mean, the thing with the Sarlacc was ridiculous. It was embarrassing. Basis 2022, Thomas L. Ben, thanks for the video. I find your stuff very very relaxing to listen to and watch. Regarding that Google Earth image, could you post the coordinates? Much appreciated. Right. Oh, yes. That is the spider thing, isn't it? Oh, well, let's have a look. Where was it? Spider creatures. Oh, is it Turkey? It's in eastern Turkey. Someone's found some more, actually. Turkey. Spiders. Google Earth. They're more like squids or octopuses kind of thing. Here we go, images. Weird spider-like things in Google. Here we go. I'll just show you the. All right, here we go. Well, where are they in Google Earth? Let's have a look. Reddit. These weird spider-like structures in. Here we go. Sayathanbe, Turkey. Does anyone know what they are? Hopefully there'll be a link here. Now there we go. Edit for coordinates. There you go. 3931.5 north. 4307.17 east. There you go. What they are? I mean, someone's found some more in the same region. I mean, what are they? They're just like a cluster of these things. They're 50 feet across. These things in this. I've measured them using the scale. They look like, you know what they look like? They look like those horrible things in people have been finding in the valley. V word. Basis 2022. Another one for you, Ben. The ascension of characters in Star Wars to being Force ghosts is based on the Hindu philosophy of mukti, which means that if you progress spiritually in this life as the Jedi do in Star Wars, then instead of your soul being added to the collective ocean of the afterlife, you'll be able to retain yourself in spirit form with all your memories from this life. Cheers. Well, Gary, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That is something I really didn't know. Thank you very much for letting me know. Gary says here, Basis 2022. I didn't know that about that. That's very interesting, Gary. Thank you very much. Basis again. What you guys are saying about the Star Wars prequel trilogies being stuffy and focused on politics is very true. But the point is that this was meant to be a very different trilogy from the first, with a different message. In the prequel trilogy, George is introducing the concept of the hidden hand, as well as, shall we say, things that happen in the real world that are blamed on certain people, but really done by the Phantom Menace hiding in the shadows. That's true, Gary. You know what? I actually didn't mind that at all. I didn't object to that personally myself. George's original concept for episodes 7, 8 and 9 we're going to be very different from the first two trilogies and would focus on the midichlorians, a microscopic life form that creates the Force. I believe this trilogy would have been somewhat shamanic and carried more spiritual story. However, Disney threw it out and made 3 films that didn't make any sense, with no story and no connection to the first 6 films. Fanboy rage. Oh, you're not alone there, Gary. I mean, I'm less of a Star Wars fan than you, but I loathe the new trilogy. It's bloody awful. Basis 2022. This is Gary again. Luke Skywalker. God, blimey. Thanks for all this. I really appreciate your feedback on this, mate. It must take you ages to write all these things out. Luke Skywalker is actually just a representation of George Lucas on screen. A young boy who wants to get out of the small town. Sorry for all my Star Wars spam, Ben, but I couldn't resist commenting and thought you might find my responses useful and interesting. I do, and it's not spam. I do find them useful and interesting. Apologies for the one that make me sound like a skeptic. Cheers, bro. That's all right. You say what you really think, Gary. Say what you really think. And he says, carries on with a different comment. P.S. Forgot to mention that Luke is simply Lucas, as in George Lucas. All right. Skywalker was originally Starkiller. So maybe there's something in that. I thought you guys did a good job. It certainly made me think about some of the names. Not thought about any of that before. Also, the Star Wars characters are representations of racial groups. Are they? All right. I can't really work out what they are. I mean, I suppose that the Trade Federation creatures are rather like... And the way they speak, they sound a bit Chinese. They look and sound a bit Chinese. I don't know about the others, though. I mean, they're clearly creatures of... different kinds. I don't know if they represent Earth. I don't know. I think that the one calamari look. I think they look a little bit kind of. I think I have this feeling that they're a bit German. I don't know. Gary Robbins says here, Ewoks are Vietnamese, Tusken Raiders, African Americans, and Jawas Mexicans. You can look this up. It comes from Lucas himself. Right, Ewoks are Vietnamese. Okay. The Tuskens are African Americans. Well, I always think the Tuskens remind me of the Bedouin because, well, obviously, Tatooine is a desert planet. It was filmed in Tunisia, and I always think they always make me think of the Bedouin with all the cloth all over them and stuff. Jawas were Mexicans. Oh my goodness me! I bet he kept that quiet though, because he'd probably get into trouble these days if he actually said these creatures are meant to be Mexicans. Probably say, "Oh, that's racist." And Gary Robinson says, PPS, sorry for badly written comments. I'm in the studio, plus it's insanely hot here in Mexico. Oh, I bet it is, mate. I bet it is, yeah. Hugo Rune says on Basis 2022, 1/4/44/48 onwards. Rex Mundi, fallen... Oh, and here we go.
An imperfect spirit known as Rex Mundi. It all goes by other names. It's probably best known as the Demiurge.
All right, this is the Luciferian lesser god, yeah. Rex Mundi, fallen spirit. Thank you for that. I am Rex Mundi. I love it. All right, yes, you do use that name in certain... I won't say where, because you might want to keep these things private. But you have used the name Rex Mundi in certain situations, haven't you, Hugo? Please enlighten me. Demiurge, Metatron, etc. Where does it all come from? The Demiurge is used... It's different words for different people. The Demiurge is used by Amitak Stanford and several other people who look into these things. Metatron is the name actually used in by Philip Pullman in the Dark Materials trilogy. I don't think that's the original source of those things, though. Hugo carries on. My source for my Rex Mundi identity is the great author Robert Rankin. Edit. Imperfect God. Wow, me. Honestly, I'm ignorant of that. Excuse me. I'm ignorant of that Rex Mundi. Please do a vid about him. Well, this is kind of it, Hugo. Would you admit you are an imperfect God? Basis 2022. Carlos Castaneda. I read his stuff decades ago. Thanks for the reminder. Oh, they're classic, Hugo. They're absolutely classic. They're very popular in the hippie community, who obviously involve a lot of weed smokers. But I actually never read them until quite recently. I picked them up maybe about 20 years ago or so, and I started reading them a bit long after I'd seen the Star Wars films, and I find them very interesting. Oh, Blue Wool says here on Basis 2022, not Bob Wood or Bill, but Bob Brown. Oh, God. I know it's not easy remembering names. Ben, or is it Boris? Or Bob Brown, sorry. Steve says, Colin, where can we see your talks online? And Blue Wool Colin says, Miles is working on editing them and putting them on Brighteon, I believe. It says, I'm on edit lockdown, feck off! Basis 2022. Stephen Truthseeker. Ben, you're falling for it all again, supporting a politician. How many times? Forget politics, it's all corrupted. Okay, Stephen, I don't agree with you. There's politicians and politicians. I do believe that within, as I explained, even within the deep state controlled world, non-conformist politicians can rise to the surface sometimes. Trump was one of those. Boris was originally one of those. And I think Kemi Badenoch is one. But of course, they've already manoeuvred her out, haven't they? Bluebeam says underneath, I think it's some form of moral nihilism being into political propaganda. I think wokeism or religion is eating society from the inside these days. Yeah, but I agree with the last bit, Bluebeam, but it's not moral nihilism at all. And Steve O71 says, yes, even a blind man can see that. Well, obviously, I think differently. I have explained why. I did a radio show on HPANWO Radio on Thursday, in which Stephen was actually in the chat box, in the live chat there, and I believe it was him anyway. And I explained the whole situation there, so maybe he thinks differently now, I don't know. Live stream recordings UK says here, thanks Ben for mentioning the Cathars. It is believed they arrived in Britain around 1145, and they certainly believed in two gods. The main evidence is the Pickett's paintings at Hemel Hempstead, Hertfordshire. UFOs, I posted a live Skywatch last night with results. Alright, let's have a look at your video. Alright, this is over an hour long.
Go walk. Ufologist in error. But say anyway, she sadly passed away.
I'll sub to you.
I've
Alright, it's a little bit, it's an hour long, so I'll have to watch that later, but thanks very much for posting me that, and I'm interested to see what you find. As for the, what's it called, the Pickett's paintings, let's see what they are. Pickett's End paintings. Right. Here we go. Alright, there's a Wikipedia page. 130 to 136 Pickett's End is a medieval timber frame building in Hertfordshire, England. Pickett's End, Hertfordshire. Originally a hall house. And murals, yes. Inside the houses there are 15th century religious wall paintings. Right, that's a bit later than 1145, but yeah. Oh, they're nice. Look at these. Look at these. They're lovely. This is Cathar art. You see, there's Jesus being taken from the cross. These are biblical scenes, and that's Hertfordshire. There, it's somewhere in there. Well, thank you very much. According to this, though, they came later. They're from here we go. 1470 to 1500. So that's a couple of centuries later. That's actually more than 300 years later. But oh yeah, following the English Reformation, religious art came to be regarded as a form of idolatry. Yes, that's true. That's true. And indeed, the Pickett's End murals were mutilated, and the paintings covered by whitewash. They remained hidden for over 400 years until they were uncovered in 1953 by residents. Oh wow! Thank goodness they at least survived. But that's true. The Reformation did do away with statues in churches and things. A lot of the cathedrals were vandalised and monasteries vandalised under the Reformation. Bases 2022. Dark Corners UK says, another excellent video, Ben. Oh, thank you. Miles Lawler says on Basis 2022. A few points. Ben stole the show with his presentation. Oh, thanks, Miles. 2. How admirable it is when Ben channels his hospital Friday night shift persona anytime the Johnson bloke is around. Very wise. I had 3 years of experience for that, Miles. 3. Does Colin Woolford still have his Star Wars figures and Millennium Falcon, lol? Well, you'll have to ask him. Okay, Ben Emlyn-Jones on Roswell 75. Rick Horden. The Cardless Society is what we want. At the moment, seeing as this technology is being abused, a cardless society wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm not against the use of technology, though. And indeed, electronic money transfers, nothing wrong with it at all on one level. Absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. The problem comes when it is used, as I said, as financial systems used as a tool of control for political power, which is what we're seeing now. they're setting up the situation where people just no longer be able to use cash in their everyday transactions, in which case those transactions can then be monitored and indeed controlled. Steve Sanderson Art says on Ben Emlyn-Jones on Roswell 75. Oh, by the way, that piece of shit Tony Blair was on TV again talking about it. He always crawls out from his disgusting hole every time to promote some Big Brother scheme, and this was one of them. He was cheering on Rishi Sunak for his praise of the Chinese system, social credit. Fucking bastard. Steve Sansnott, I haven't used cash in a few years, for better or worse. I'm afraid cash transactions are on the way out. Great talk, by the way. Well, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed the talk, Steve. But cash transactions are not on the way out as long as we use them. If we insist on using them, they won't go away. Retailers will be forced, essentially, to allow them. You say for better or worse, you haven't used cash in a few years. I'm afraid it's going to be worse. Because if you lose the habit of having cash and you get in the habit of just waving your card around, what's going to happen when the guy behind the counter says, "I'm sorry, you can't buy that because your social credit score is too low"? What are you going to do? Cash transactions are on the way out, but they don't have to be. We can prevent it. We can fight back against it. Roswell 75, Hugo Rune. You mentioned that Tesla died a pauper. You mentioned he was living on canned tuna and tomatoes. Laughing my arse off. I was just eating a can of tuna. I have more. I also enjoy cans of pilchards and cans of mackerel. Well, I'm pleased, Hugo, but you see, I eat tuna from cans as well. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're just eating that and nothing else, you're not gonna be healthy. You need a balanced diet of different things. Okay, Roswell 75. Hugo's put 2 timestamps here. Right, here we go. 1 hour 44 minutes and 1 hour 44 minutes 11 seconds. 2 cameras. There was more than one camera used. Let's have a look here a minute. Oh, this is the out. It's an exterior. I don't need to repeat it. It's the exterior shot of the. It's an exterior shot of the venue. You've seen it you can watch it on the video. No, those are not 2 cameras. Those 2 shots were filmed consecutively on the same camera by Neil Geddes Ward. Oh, Neil's actually in chat himself here. I filmed additional shots for Ben whilst he delivered his talk and spoke to the group afterwards. Yeah, Neil's been enormously helpful, not just in helping me produce the video with his footage and his equipment, but just recommending me with this group arranging it. Hugo Rune says to Neil, "Thanks for the info. I'm now looking over your site. I will check your videos out later." Please do, Hugo. Roswell 75, Marley Pumpkin, more UFO turd quality video. There's 5 thumbs down. Marley, you got to. If you keep saying that and you keep watching them, though, don't you? What does that say about you? Kerry Woolley says on Roswell 75, pantomime. Right. Oh no, it's not. Oh yes, it is. Neil says underneath, what pantomime are you referring to? And Kerry Woolley says, 1980 forever. And all right. Neil says to Kerry, can you explain a bit more, please? Oh, Neil, bless you. And Kerry says to Neil, the immune system responds to toxins or a toxic environment by flushing exomes. Exomes are around the same size as what they tell us is a virus, and they change shape too. Conjob 1980 forever. All right. I've heard of exomes. There was a thing in Nexus about exomes. It was actually very interesting. Neil says to Kerry, how is that connected to Ben's Roswell talk, though? Gary Robinson says to Neil, she's saying it's pantomime, and I bet she watched. Seems to be the way with these types. I think she recently told me to grow the fuck up in a comment. Nice girl, I reckon. Neil says, apart from being very cryptic, she's very rude then. I think it's her that should reassess her progression into puberty. Nice one, guys. Gary and Neil, thank you very much. Yeah. Well, Kerry's one of these people who does just talk in riddles, and I find them annoying. Anyway, Roswell 75, Gary Robinson. the cashless thing is quite a concern. When you asked the guy in the coffee shop if they would be taking cash again, now that the social limitations have been removed, was he smug when he told you they had no plans to start accepting cash again? Because I find that people are often happy when they inform you that even the smallest aspects of society that have gone out of the window, thanks to the crown system, are not coming back. This is usually because of being believers of the nonsense they like to see the rest of us to be inconvenienced. They like to see the rest of us being inconvenienced. Gary, no, I didn't notice any kind of vainglory or smugness about him. He just said it in a very matter-of-fact way, and he was polite. So I don't have a problem there. But obviously, I have a problem with the cashless thing. But go to the Gloucester Green Market and use that little stall I showed you. Roswell 75, Gary. Hey, bedmate, random idea. Since you're big on Roswell, it might be worth doing a series of short videos detailing the history of the events. If you kept each episode around 15 minutes and made sure each upload was SEO optimized, as much as that's possible within YouTube, of course, and then back them up by posting them in weekly blog posts, etc. I think that would drive a huge amount of additional traffic to your site. I've got my agent manager hat on. Again for you, mate. Thanks. Channel PS. Don't forget about my UFO debunking channel idea. I'm convinced that it will propel you into the A-list, from where you can look down on some of the people in the woo scene less talented than yourself that are currently sunning themselves at the top of the pyramid. I've no idea why my comments for this weekend have been a more confrontational vibe than usual. have a more confrontational vibe than usual. I don't know, Gary. I don't mind confrontational vibes as long as they're polite, and you're always very polite. I did talk about, you did address me about the UFO debunking channel. I did decide against it. I really appreciate you wanting to help me, and I appreciate you wanting to give me good advice. But I did explain why I thought it probably would just, to me, it would be unnecessary. It's not debunking or steel manning the skeptic side of the debate is always a good idea, but I don't need a separate channel to do it. I can do it on this channel. But yeah, as for traffic to my site, unfortunately, with the shadow banning problem, that's always going to be tricky. I mean, what viewers can do actually is you can help by sharing this video on your own social media. That really, if there's nothing the algorithms can do to stop you if you choose to share it on your own social media. And Gary says underneath, PPS, my thinking behind the Roswell thing. Oh yeah, the TV doing a series of short videos about Roswell. Not a bad idea. Maybe I'm not sure if I could do it in a way that was unique to myself and didn't just copy what other people have said. It would have to be something unusual and unique. Yeah. By the way, if you can hear wind on the mic, I've got the fan on again. Okay. PPS, my thinking behind the Roswell thing is that TV news, etc. will Google to find people like yourself, and a series on a huge search term like Roswell will make you come up higher in their searches. Shorter videos in the series are also accessible via your blog, will improve the SEO overall, and the chances of you eventually being picked up by people in the media. What's SEO? I had to ask what that meant. But the thing about it, Gary, I did actually try logging out. I've got a fresh browser with no cookies on, and I tried searching for myself, and I found it very difficult. It wasn't impossible, but I used a few basic keywords like Roswell, and I had to scroll down an awful long way to find my publications. The exception, luckily, is my books. The Roswell trilogy come up very quickly. If you Google Roswell books on a completely fresh browser with no cookies and no logins or anything, if you put in books about Roswell, my book comes up in the top tier. So there's like about 20 books that come up immediately, and mine's one of them. So that's good news. But actually, my actual website, no, as I said, I have been shadow banned, I think, by Google. So that includes Blogger, YouTube, everything, which is a great shame. But like I said, there's ways around it. Gary also says here on this is a fresh comment here on Roswell 75. It's a real shame that the only way us woo heads will get to visit Roswell now is if we accept the dose. I don't know if that's still the case, Gary. I think you have to just present a negative lateral flow test, I think. Well, that's the end of an hour. Thank you very much. Oops, thank you. That's my that's my new alarm clock, my new countdown clock. Oh, where was I? Right. I'll just finish this comment. Unfortunately, non-USA citizens are no longer allowed to enter the country via airports, land borders and sea borders, etc., unless they have been. I recently found out that my wife had it over a year ago and didn't tell me. Oh, God. I hope that didn't lead to too many arguments, Gary. Obviously, like, it's a shame that she kept it from you. To be honest, you know, I've not had it, and I haven't. I've told my family I've had it. Sometimes, you know, it's just I do things to avoid arguments, and maybe she did that for the same reason. I don't know. That's between the two of you, obviously. Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. La la la. You are taking ayahuasca. At least she's on the ayahuasca, eh? And the peyote. That's something. Anyway, mate. So she can't be a complete normie. I'm not sure it's still the case with the. Well, you'd know better because you live closer to the region. Obviously, if the V word is a deal breaker, as long as they have that in force, I won't be going there. If that changes, I mean, I don't mind taking a lateral flow test. This little thing up your nose makes you sneeze. I'll cope with that. Anyway, that's the end of the first hour, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back for hour number 2. So let's get on with this, shall we? I can't believe I'm over halfway through this list, so. I mean, it seems weird that it's going to be that short. I mean, yeah, I'm over halfway through. That's weird. Maybe there's been fewer comments than normal, or maybe it's been maybe less time between videos. I don't know. 70 Froswell 75. It was great having you down, Ben. Oh yeah, good old Neil. He and Monica were great to me. Thanks very much. Rod says on Roswell 75. Hey Ben, brilliantly delivered as usual. Your oratory skills and encyclopedic knowledge do you so much credit, but it is your passion in your delivery that makes you a must-watch video. I'm always highly surprised that your videos do not have thousands more views, but I'm guessing that you are a bit of a hidden treasure waiting for the masses to find and discover. Looking forward to your next video. Kind regards, Rod. Oh, thanks, Rod. Thank you very much. Much appreciate that. That's really nice, lovely words there, and I'm glad you enjoy it. I am. Why I don't have thousands more views? I mean, I think I used to get more, and in fact, some of my videos do have like several 100,000 views. It's got a lot to do with the fact that I'm been algorithmed on YouTube since early 2018. I have been shadow banned, but you know, you feel free to share my videos on your social media. That always helps. I mean, I do my best to promote myself. Maybe people discover my videos through my books. I hope they do. And it could be also that YouTube have maybe I am actually getting more views than they're saying. I mean, there's evidence to suggest that YouTube are actually certain videos. Part of the shadow banning is that certain videos, you know, some of the views are actually not recorded. So your videos are actually more popular than it appears from the viewing figures. Della Farrance says underneath, hi Della, how you doing? I agree with all you say. We might have to share him with the masses soon. I rather like it this way. So, oh, thank you, Della. Thank you very much. Honestly, man, I'll never forget you guys. You guys who've stuck with me from the beginning. If I ever become the new Stephen Greer, I will not leave you guys behind. I promise. You'll still be the centre of everything I do. You guys who've been with me now. Diego Rivera says to Roswell 75. Roswell happened near a town called Corona. Could it all be linked? Yeah, Corona, New Mexico it's actually in Lincoln County, where this actually took place, which is further west and north. It's northwest of Roswell. The name Roswell incident has stuck though simply because it's the Roswell Army Air Force that dealt with it. So once a name for something sticks, you can't really change that. Once it becomes in the collective psyche of people embroiled with the actual thing, the actual event itself, that's where it ends. That's where it sort of sticks with it. You know, that's the way it's always going to be. But you never change it to the Corona incident now. But yeah, it was actually slightly southeast of Corona, where there are actually there's more than one crash site because this object actually touched the ground on more than one occasion. It actually left some debris in one area and managed to get back up into the air and then came down in another. Similar to the Nottinghamshire Roswell incident. It's the UFO that came down in near Mansfield in 1987. Diego Rivera says the talk is a good overview of the subject. Thanks, Diego Rivera. I'm glad you thought that was my intention. I think and also to add my little spin on things. You know, Diego Rivera, the David Brent of ufology. Classic stuff, Ben. Come on, do the dance at the end. Oh God. I've never watched The Office. I must admit, I've never watched it. I know who you mean by David Brent, though. Ricky Gervais's character. Jack Parker says here on Roswell 75, nah, who needs cash? Just a firm handshake and a wink. Wish him a good day. Thank you for your service. Things will work out somehow. If they need food, you bring them some. You get it. You'll get it from somewhere. Well, you know, I'm not a Freemason, unfortunately, Jack, so that wouldn't work for me. But, you know, I was reading an article by somebody about a whole area of London that is cashless, and a couple of people did take pity on him and sort of took cash from him against their rules. Which is, I think people really need to realise what they're giving up if they're not using cash. I think a lot of people just don't really think about this, going, oh, it's easier to do it this way, without the awareness of what's at stake here. TK says on reply to comment 61, multiple graves of giants, simply not true. Lower that bar, Ben. Did some guy say he saw the graves? I wrote about it on HPANWO Voice. I can't remember, but I remember the archaeologist is called Muhammad Ali, like the boxer, and there's a whole article about it. It does seem to be above board. I don't have the details offhand, but I did hear about that. There are many other examples too. TK says on Roswell 75. One difference between Stratford upon Avon and Roswell. One is about William Shakespeare and is real and there's no debate, and one isn't about William Shakespeare and it is debatable. It's because it isn't real or debatable that this becomes a scam rip-off, not just because the town is celebrating it. But these days I believe you missed the point on purpose, so you can keep doggedly saying, aliens are here, when we know they ain't. No, I'm not doggedly missing the point on purpose. In fact, this is why I'm replying to you. I'm not just ignoring your comment. You say there's a difference between Stratford on Avon and is that William Shakespeare is real and the other is debatable. Well, I personally, some people claim that the William Shakespeare thing is debatable. Nick Colostrum, I had him on my show on HPANWO Radio. But so that's debatable for a start. Secondly, I think Roswell, the chances of Roswell being aliens is probably about the same as the Shakespeare. It's as real as Shakespeare to me. And I think evidentially it is as real. And so literally the only reason you and so many people object to the UFO industry in Roswell, what you call a scam or rip-off, is simply because of your opinions and your doubts about it. That's the only reason. So it's very subjective on your part, I would say, because I believe objectively there's every reason to believe that extraterrestrials did actually crash their craft at Roswell in 1947. Roswell 75, Bernie Tucker. Ben, I loved your new videos. Colin and Miles are great as. Oh, thanks, Bernie. Much appreciated, mate. Bernie says underneath here in reply to himself, Ben, I loved your new videos. Colin and Miles are great as well. People should be paying you to speak. Great work, thanks. Oh, thanks, Bernie. But you know, I don't charge a fee if anyone wants to book me. Basis 2022, Lisa. I don't think I'd get on with Miles, just saying. Oh, Lisa. Oh, well, you know, the thing to do is just don't take him too seriously. I think this is the thing to do. Charles Scott, what's this going to be about? Let's have a look. Let's just see, shall we? What I actually reply to this will depend on the subject you're talking about here. I think now, to be clear to your sane and honest YouTube viewers who have carefully investigated this matter, that you are spouting hot air by pursuing with your lying drivel narrative. Right, this is about... Right. Okay, Charles, I did say that I would no longer reply to you on this subject publicly anymore. Because you have made it very, very clear you are not going to subject my testimony to the same rules as Chris Evers' testimony, even though evidentially either of us could be lying. So I'm not going to delete your comment. You can stay there, but I will not reply to you anymore. I can't deal with people who have this a priori bias on your part when it comes to this. Roswell 75. Gary Robinson. Hey Ben, mate, I think the story about the big thunderstorm happening on the night Nikola Tesla was born is definitely true, because I have a couple of books on Tesla and one of them mentions this. Cheers. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, I don't think it's apocryphal. I think it appears that it was several biographies has mentioned this. I know. So it's quite possible, yeah. Whether that influenced his interest in electricity, which he appears to have had from a young age. For instance, he used to go outside in thunderstorms when he was a little boy. I think his parents were worried that he'd be struck by lightning. David says here on Roswell 75, Hi Ben, I really enjoyed this video, thank you. Your Roswell talk, in my opinion, is your best talk to date. I liked how your talk took a small look into other UFO crash incidents, and maybe UFO crash retrievals landings could be an idea for a future talk soon. Oh, thanks David. You know, I have actually done a few already. So it's probably, if I can add anything to the talks I've already done on crash retrievals and landings, yeah, I'd be glad to, but I'm glad you like that. Thank you. You're not David Griffin by any chance, are you? Patrick Patel says on Roswell 75, Hey Ben, I love it when you share all your personal insights when you're on your adventures, especially when you talk about mysterious UFO phenomena and anything to do with odd history. I think it's so fun. I also have enormous respect for you because I don't ever feel judged. I'm actually quite terribly thick when I write because of my autism condition, but you make me feel important and I appreciate it when you reply to my messages. Never felt belittled like I usually do with other people. Thanks. Oh, you're very welcome, Patrick. Of course, I never belittle you. I never. And I appreciate you. I really appreciate you watching my videos and enjoying them. Roswell 75. We have the man with the cleanest washing machines in the universe. Alliance of Calgon. You're a great talker, Ben. Always enjoy your work. Cheers. Oh, thanks, Alliance of Calgon. And now, Roswell 75, Benji84 says, Great presentation again, Ben. Have you always been confident in public speaking, or have you gotten better the more you do it? I think it truly is a God-given talent, and you use it to such positive work, unlike others, politicians, journalists. Long may you continue to do so. Oh, thanks, Benji. Thank you. Well, according to my Myers-Briggs profile is ENFJ, which does make me a naturally good public speaker. Yeah, ENFJs tend to be the perfect politicians, which I think you mentioned politicians here, which of course is a bit of an insult, but for ENFJ to be politicians, because of course I'm not. However, as you say here, I can put the skills I could have in politics to better use. Della Farron says, I wish there were more people like Ben in the world. He restores my faith in people. Thanks, Della. Thank you. And now we have Steve. Steve Mumbling on Roswell 75. If free energy is so easy to produce, why doesn't Ben make a free energy device? Why don't any of the tens of millions of engineers and technicians all over the world make a free energy device? Well, they do, Steve, they do. Why do I and my colleagues pay for electricity when we could easily build free energy devices? Because you don't believe they exist, and what's more, the government, literally certainly in Britain, there's a law saying you can't come off the national grid anyway. All you can do if you generate your own electricity is charge the national grid. I don't know if it's the same in Australia, but it is over here. Why doesn't Miles Johnstone, the radio and technical wizard, build a free energy device? I don't think it's a speciality, Steve. Why don't any of the hundreds of thousands of radio hams around the world build free energy devices? Being a radio ham and building free energy devices are different skills and knowledge. It's because it can't be done. It's science fiction. No, it's not. Weather balloons didn't fall like confetti around Roswell. They burst at high altitude and shreds of them fall all over the place. Well, that's true. They do regularly fall, as one of the witnesses says. You know, my dog recognises them. Because they're as Warrant Officer Irving Newton correctly explained, he lied a lot at that press conference, but he did say, because he was the weather forecaster at the base, he has to launch them continuously from different places all the time. And once they're launched, and these are just simple things with a radar target and a ballast bag, and once they're no longer of any use, once they burst, when they reach a certain altitude, they just fall to the ground. A 1,500-foot mogul balloon would look completely different to the 6-foot weather balloons launched every day. Correct. The Project Mogul balloon was the largest unmanned balloon ever flown. It included a lot of very, very sensitive electronic equipment, microphones designed to pick up extremely low frequency sound from a very high altitude, much higher than the ones weather balloons going. And that's again, but it would be recognisable to someone like Jesse Marcel. And I should point out, actually, Jesse Marcel would have known what it was. He even if he didn't know exactly what it was, he would have been able to tell that this was some kind of government project, and it was a man-made device. I should point out, interestingly, that Sheridan Cavett. Now, people say, oh, the witnesses. They say they weren't there. Sheridan Cavett actually denied he was at the Roswell location. He denied he. Now, Sheridan Cavett was actually Jesse Marcel's assistant, who went with him to the Brazel Ranch. Jesse Marcel, Cavett. For years and years and years, he denied he'd gone there with Marcel. He denied it flat out. Then he confessed and he said, "Yes, I had been there. Marcel was right. I went up there with Jesse Marcel." Just an idea, Steve, to make you realise that people are willing to keep secrets like this, and secrets can be kept. Steve says here, the water car has been debunked over and over again. Meyer was found guilty of fraud in this regard. He was framed and then killed. It does work. How can you say that it's been debunked when the guy who invented it was framed and then killed? He was poisoned. None of his patents were taken up by anyone after his death. Can you blame them? They were terrified. They didn't want to go out to a restaurant and end up dropping brown bread like he did. The Wardenclyffe Tower device was designed to work the opposite way around to the way described by Ben. It was used extremely high AC voltage, today called RF, to transmit power through the air. The power was generated in a conventional way by a huge generator which was connected to the dome and the earth. This will produce the same effect as standing near a broadcast radio station antenna with a neon tube. The tube would light up. That's actually not the opposite way I describe it. I describe it as part of an experiment done by Tesla. This was an experimental power station. Regardless of whether it was a transmitter or receiver, it was part of a system which Tesla, a principle that Tesla wanted to demonstrate. Tesla had a poor understanding of RF, that's radio frequency, I think, and denied the existence of Hertzian waves. Don't know what those are. You have probably heard of kilohertz, megahertz, and gigahertz, etc. Yes, I have. That's why he proposed a dome to radiate his RF instead of a resonant antenna, which would have been on many orders of magnitude more effective. Right, I don't have an answer to that, Steve. That's too technical for me. The Roswell story is absolute rubbish. No, it's not. The nurse has never been produced to tell her tale. Well, that was what was originally thought at the time. I know that several skeptics like Cal Korff were talking about this. The nurse, that Glenn Dennis made up the nurse. They couldn't find anyone of the name he gave. Then he came out and said I think this was Kevin Randall and Tom Kerry and the other guy whose name I can't remember. He's on the poster behind me. What's his bloody name? They said that then he came out and said he'd given them the wrong name. They couldn't find a record of a nurse who'd been killed in Europe in a plane crash. But then it was actually Stanton Friedman who dug up another witness who'd met her. Brazel found rubber strips, balsa wood and scotch tape at the Roswell crash site 3 weeks before he told anyone about it. There was some evidence to believe that Brazel was not quite honest about when he found what he did. Some people have pushed it back as early as late May. I think it's more likely to have been some time from mid-June to early July when this all broke out. It was actually in the beginning of July that Brazel approached the mainstream and reported it. But it wasn't rubber strips, balsa wood and scotch tape at all. That was what was on the floor of General Ramey's office, which is not the actual debris. It was what he put there because he was going to do a cover-up. The story has been embellished beyond all reason ever since. Untrue, Steve. There have been some mistakes and there have been some exaggerations, yes, but beyond belief, no. Beyond all reason, no. Miles Lawless says here, in reply to Steve, regarding the tens of millions of engineers and technicians, the simple answer to this is there isn't tens of millions of engineers. The vast majority of engineering graduates don't work in engineering. Long story. Moreover, the average working engineer would not have time or energy to give a second thought outside a project such as this. Question, why don't any of the tens of... Yeah, that's in reply to Steve. Okay. That's a good point, Miles. Yeah, I mean, once you become an engineer, you usually get a job doing something engineering-wise, maybe working for, the BMW down here in Oxford. They have a works here where there's lots of engineers employed there to help build and design the cars. And Steve says under here to Miles, regardless of whether the tens of millions of engineers are actually working in engineering, they would all have the ability to build a simple free energy device. So would all the technicians and radio hams. Well, to be honest, Steve, to be fair to you, some of these designs are very, very simple. They could be built by someone without any engineering training. Victor Schauberger had no engineering qualifications at all. He was a forester. Yet he built several working machines. The point is, though, they may be able to do that, but would they be able to do as you say and stay alive? Or how many of them would have accidents, fall off trains, eat poisoned food in a restaurant, for example, get shot during a robbery in which nothing was taken? Steve continues, any engineer, technician or radio hand would be able to find the time to build a device that would win them a Nobel Prize and bring them wealth beyond their wildest dreams if this was actually possible. Steve, you are so naive, you really are. It isn't. Ben tells us it's simple. Anyone can do it. So why doesn't he? He's living in a 2-bob basement bedsit, and he's obviously skint and doing menial work. I'm nothing of the sort, Steve. I'm not doing menial work at all. Your last paragraph is just science fiction nonsense. And Miles says to Steve, Ben is more than able to respond to your insults. Oh yeah, I am, Miles, definitely. However, your own myopic worldview clearly prevents you from simply typing atmospheric energy into the search bar above, by the way. It's very naive of you to think that all engineering graduates have the ability to build a simple free energy device. Yeah, and to win a Nobel Prize. And then Steve Mumbling says here on Basis 2022, my Myers-Briggs personality inventory type is ESTP, apparently. All right. So you're not an NF, so that means, Steve, you are... let's have a look what that means. There's no surprise you're not in the truth movement, because NFs usually, especially NFPs, are the people likely to be conspiratorial. Myers-Briggs. And what was it? What was it again? Let's have a look. ESTP. There we go, ESTPs. Entrepreneur, ESTP personality types. Extroverted, observant, thinking and prospecting personality traits. All right. And they're called the entrepreneur. That's the name. ENFJs are the politician, or I forgot what they call ENFJs. But I have a name, ENFJ. ENFJs, protagonist. That's it. I'm the protagonist. You're an entrepreneur and I'm a protagonist. Cool, that's fine with me. But the fact that you're not an NFP, or at least not an NF, indicates why you wouldn't necessarily believe what we believe. As Gloria explained, 75% of people within the truth movement are NFs. About 60% are NFPs. All the rest are mostly NFJs. Reply to comment 61, David Smith. You got a bit woke talking about Charlie. Started sounding like a proper left SJW, or maybe those kinds of labels are pretty useless. Charlie who? Sorry, I don't remember that bit, mate. Sorry. I'm not the sort of person who talks about woke. Who talks woke? Let me just... Here we go. I've just got to break off for a moment because I'm going to simply... I've simply got to convert the file I've just recorded for hour number 1, which is one of the annoying things about this webcam, is it has fixed settings for resolution, which means it comes out with a ridiculously huge oh sorry, I haven't created a file yet, so I'll put it in downloads. Okay, so I'll just put here, so I'll call it C1. There we go. I'll create a file for this particular project in a little while. You can't adjust the resolution settings, unfortunately, on this. Oops. You can't adjust the resolution settings on this webcam, so I have to convert the file post-production. Alright, okay. Georgia Guidestone's live stream. Unwanted and somewhat slightly dazed. Oh dear, what an unfortunate name. Ben, I do enjoy your content, but your continuing Boris narrative is entirely bogus. He has always been one of them, always will. Watch sheep farm videos on his life. He has been manoeuvred into every position he has held. Brexit meant nothing, simple distraction to what has come forth. Rishi, or whoever is the next puppet, is simply there to lead us into more pain and suffering. Theatre of the worst kinds. This is Boris's get out. Some wancock. People have very short memories. Their crimes will soon be forgiven. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed my material, Unwashed and somewhat slightly dazed. I see. I must be careful not to get you mixed up with Nick Cottam, Unwashed. I don't think he's ever commented on my stuff anyway. But Boris has not always been one of them. You say he always will, but he probably always will now. Unless could he claw himself back after what he's done? He's clearly he's probably just jumped into the swamp. Now he's in the swamp. Can he ever get out again? I doubt it. I'm certainly not ever going to trust him again. Sheep Farm I like. I've not actually watched the video Sheep Farm put on Boris, but I will watch it and I'll check it. But I know a little bit about Boris's background, and I'll watch Sheep Farm's take on that. But Brexit did mean something to him. Just look at watch my videos on how different he was to Theresa May. And as for distraction for what is to come forth, I don't know about how that relates to what's coming forth now. Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss, it really makes no difference. It's Coke and Pepsi, like I said. So I agree with you there. And they are there to lead us into more pain and suffering. I'm not sure exactly whether they'll succeed or not. If I've got anything to do with it. As for their crimes being forgotten, I don't intend for what Boris did ever to be forgotten. And whether he can ever redeem himself from it, I don't know. But it'll have to be something pretty spectacular if he ever does. Because there's talk about him coming back, there's talk about him even running for Prime Minister again. Heatwave 2022, Steve071. When did you start a graph? When you get to start a graph anywhere you choose to, it's easy to get the data required to push the agenda. Correct. David Smith says, what agenda? Steve071, man-made climate change. Dave Smith. David, what about the agenda to deny man-made climate change? Oh, you've been looking into the... Oh, right. You've been watching Merchants of Doubt. I've actually watched that film and reviewed it. Steve says, it has been hotter in the past and colder in the past. There is this thing in the sky every day called the sun. It has more effect in what happens on the earth than anything else, David says. That's like saying the moon is responsible for flooding because it has the power to influence tidal waters. There are other demonstrable factors happening. Okay. Well, thanks for those comments, guys. The debate stopped there, but thank you very much. Heatwave livestream. Ravenhill, the sly, shadowy merchant 1968 says, Ben, are you worried about your apartments catching fire in the extreme heat? What caused some houses to be destroyed by fire in London yesterday? It is a concern, but we have we have a fire extinguisher here. We have all the fire protection. We have smoke detectors and things like that. I don't know if you can actually avoid that risk altogether, Ravenhill, especially when it gets as hot as it did last week. But all we can do is our best, I think. Okay, we have now Fourth Kind Watch Party review. Will Michel says, hi Ben, do you know if the legend that is Shun Haros is no longer with us? Sorry for the spelling. Shoumhro. Shun Haros. I don't know what that means, sorry. Him and his family have been terrorized over the years. Very brave, but clever man. His videos on his various channels are amazing. I hope they haven't finally done the same to him as many other brave individuals will. London. Oh, Sean Ross. Oh, Stephen Truthseeker says Sean Ross is still alive. Last time I heard, he published a video a few days ago. I don't know him, Stephen, but thanks. Will says, thank you, brother. Great news. God bless him. And Will Michelle says to Stephen as well, can you tell me what video name he's under? And Stephen Truthseeker says, Gire. Right. I've not heard of this person, so I don't know. Fourth Kind Watch Party review, Angel Breath. Ben, it's good to hear from you. Hope all is well, fella. Oh, thanks, Angel Breath. Much appreciated. That's really I'm glad you hope you enjoyed that video. Fourth Kind Watch Party review, Alliance of Calgon. That was a great review. Saves me watching it. Keep them coming, Ben. You're very entertaining. If I may suggest Royal Flash. I know it's not paranormal, but it is a hilarious film. Cheers. Thanks, Alliance of Calgon. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I mean, I do take requests and recommendations when it comes to watch party films. Right, this is a new video. Notice of old tech exclusive modern cancer treatment. Steve071 says no misinformation. Alright, I think you get the joke, don't you, Steve? Yes. Marley Pumpkin says on that video, more shit, no one will watch it on other websites. Well, you don't have to, Marley, but you watch everything else I do, so I bet you'll resist it. You won't be able to resist the temptation to go over there, will you? Nothing as it seems says, Sir spams a lot. Right, I don't know who you're addressing, nothing as it seems. Certainly not me. Watch Party review, Abducted by Aliens, says TK. I haven't heard anything so stupid in my whole life. Then you don't know very much about alien abduction. The Fourth Kind Watch Party live stream, Dark Corners says, first! Oh, well done, Dark Corners. I think you were in the live chat too, if I remember. Dark Corners says here, on Watch Party live stream, hey Ben, as someone who has experienced missing time themselves, I wanted to share with you the experience I had today, although I suppose what I experienced was less akin to missing time and more akin to extra time. If such an occurrence has any logical merit, it is for wiser men than I to decide. Anyway, I woke as I always do and checked my phone. It was precisely 8 AM, I clearly remember this, as I had awoken later than usual. I went to the toilet and did my morning ablutions. When I got downstairs, I checked my phone again. It was 7:50 AM. By my reckoning, I'd gone back in time a whole 10 minutes. I wondered to myself if there's any precedent for this in woo-woo circles, and would be extremely interested to hear your thoughts on this matter. Time slips, yeah. Premonitions, possibly premonitions, time slips. Is it possible you misread the time on your phone? I know it's unlikely because they tend to be in very large text on a phone. But that's interesting because time slips like that and premonitions do happen. By premonition, I mean you probably checked your phone about 20 to 8, looked down and saw 8 AM because essentially you were seeing the future or possible future. Let me know if it happens again, Dark Corners, because obviously it's easy to dismiss this as coincidence, misunderstanding, misreading the clock, things like that, from a one-off. Just playing skeptic's advocate here. However, if this becomes a regular thing, if it happens again, I think it deserves a second look. Fourth Kind Watch Party live stream, The Death Beats. Sorry I missed this, Ben. Cheers, Gary. All right. Thanks, Gary. Hope you enjoyed the recording. But I'm glad you got to see the recording. And here we have a spammer. We have a Russian person spamming. This is Victor Zib. Remove. There we go. And we have another spammer. Bloody hell! Spam all the time. Barley's Den says on party live stream, anyone with an IQ bigger than their shoe size would have realised The Fourth Kind wasn't a documentary. Alright. Well then, according to you, Barley's Den, my IQ is less than my shoe size. Because I didn't realise it was a documentary before. I think my IQ is actually slightly more than my shoe size, even though I am a size 12. But I don't think it's actually correct what you said. But I didn't actually know it was a documentary when I watched it. I came out of the cinema not knowing that it wasn't real. It was much later I discovered it wasn't real. Steve Mumbling says absolutely underneath. All right. Well, Barley's Den and Steve Mumbling, I do realise it was actually not. I don't believe it was. I know it was not a documentary now. Okay, I've now understood that. So surely is that not enough? Heatwave 2022, Michael Snow. I was at my dad's in Southampton. I went camping in Dorset to get away from it. Normally I'm in the Midlands. God knows how bad it was there. All right. Oh, it was, yeah, I mean, the hottest area seems to be kind of the East Midlands. It was actually somewhere in Lincolnshire that recorded a record-breaking temperature of 104 Fahrenheit, 40 degrees or so. Oh, Watch Party livestream, Rod. I attended a family funeral yesterday and the wake went on longer than anticipated. So sorry I missed you again, Ben. Always playing catch-up. Rod, deepest condolences on your loss. And, of course, that has to come first, doesn't it? It has to come first. Oxford Graffiti 2. The woman is curling her eyelashes. Oh, right. I don't know who you mean exactly. There. There's no timestamp. Oxford Graffiti 2 again. Hugo Rune. Thanks for that, Ben. It's nice to see. It's nice to see. You're welcome, Hugo. I'm glad you liked it. Oxford Graffiti 2. Rick Horden. The spies without the spires. The writings on the wall, Ben. Oh, very droll. Roswell 75, we have Angelita Demint saying promosum. I don't know what that means. Promosm. It's in a weird font as well. And now we have Oxford Graffiti 2. Gary Robinson says on Oxford Graffiti 2. Hi Ben, mate. This is very off topic, but I was wondering if you have been watching the new season of Westworld. I haven't, no. One of the storylines involves the androids breaking free from Westworld and nudging their way into power in the real world. One by one, they replace people at all levels of power, starting with mayors and local councils, etc., with android versions resulting in them making decisions that are best for the top-level androids and not the humans. Ring any bells? Yeah, yes, it does. That's interesting. I actually didn't think much of the film Westworld, I have to say. But that's this new series. If it has this element, it might be of more interest to me. The next storyline that caught my attention involves androids hunting NPC androids within society that break out of their programming routines. All right. That sounds a bit like Blade Runner, doesn't it? If they start to think and act differently from what the system wants, they are hunted down for reprogramming. Any more bells ringing? Yes. Not just the fact that that's the plot of Blade Runner, but that's what people do in our society, don't they? Yeah. And David Icke describes this so well, and I've seen it in my own life. The third and final storyline is the scariest, which involves the androids offering humans a medical procedure that will save them. The procedure essentially involves them being turned into an android-human hybrid. Transhumanism, yeah. In other words, something they don't really need, but are pressured into having done. Lots of bells ringing, Ben. Cheers. Scary, there's an entire belfry clanging away there like Merton College. Yeah. Maybe I'll have to check out this new series. Thank you. Oxford Graffiti 2, Patrick Patel. Ben, lol, goodness me. I personally don't like graffitis. I like some, but most look horrible. Well, most are rather crude. I actually did deliberately leave out some areas which I covered on the previous videos in this series. Even though this is like 2, there's actually about 4 videos I've made on graffiti. Because basically they were just like the usual like unskilled like daubs you get on walls and things like that. Oxford Graffiti 2, Carrie Robinson. One thing I miss about the UK is the local graffiti, some of which was by Crudspen, who was a fairly established artist who regularly did works in my hometown in Hertfordshire. Alright, Gary, yeah, of course, some graffiti artists actually do end up becoming very, very good. I mean, there's people like, of course, Banksy is the obvious one. There's also, what's his name? Julian Beaver, the guy who does forced perspective graffiti. Is it Julian Beaver? What's his name? Oh, come on. Come on. It's my browser slow. Julian Beaver. Graffiti. Here we go. Julian Beaver. This guy's amazing. Let me just show you some of his stuff. If you hadn't heard about this guy before, David Icke has mentioned him. Look at all this. Look at that. that's remarkable. I mean, that's actually a picture on the ground, which only appears that way from a certain angle. If you look at it from another angle, it's totally different. There's many other examples of that. Look like this here. You see, if you look at it from another angle, it's completely different. Let's just have a look. See, this is him there, Julian Beevy. See, he looks like a swimming pool, and you have like a woman in a bathing suit in a swimming pool, and he's in his trunks going to join her. If you look at it from another angle, it's totally different. Let's just have a look and see if they've got an example of what I'm talking about. He produced this forced perspective. In fact, you get this. Look, it's amazing. This is absolutely amazing. You get this on some film sets. I mean, some film sets are actually made with using this method. And of course, the obvious example also is ads on advertising logos on sports grounds. They're made to look. They actually look like they're real. They look in their normal state because they're very carefully designed to take into account. Here we go. See, look at that snail there. That's what it actually looks like if you look at it from another angle. If you look at it from another angle, you can see it's warped out of shape because it's designed to. Oh, bugger off! Bugger off! You get the picture, don't you? Get the picture literally. Because they do that on film sets, like I said, and on sports grounds with advertising logos. And of course, there's many others. There's Mia One, who's made a very controversial graffito on a mural in London, which was actually obliterated about 2 weeks after it was made. Luckily, people took lots of photos of it first. Oh, well, that Luciana Berger was involved in that. What a cow! Same video, David Splendid Isolation. That's an someone else has mentioned this. That's an eyelash curling tool. Surely you've seen it before. Oh, I see. Discussing the Ukraine virtue signaling BS, you called it. All right, I see. Someone else mentioned the eyelashing things. Yeah. Someone else mentioned. Where was it? The woman is curling her eyelashes. Yes, that image, that sort of that image in that black and white like film, that filmy noir type actress person. It's an eye. All right, thank you. Someone else mentioned that. Yes, indeed. I see. And the Ukraine thing, yeah. I mean, I got a feeling the guy who put up the original Viking scene actually approved that, which is a shame. I actually saw the guy making. I actually spoke to the guy making the Viking thing. That's very good. Okay, Fourth Kind Watch Party live stream. Steve mumbling. I watched the Fourth Kind a few years ago. It took only minutes to realise it was a steaming pile. Well, Steve. It's not a steaming pile. It's simply a docudrama. It's not meant to, I mean, maybe you're meant to think it's real, but it's obviously not real, and they don't pretend it's otherwise. Obviously they try to keep the illusion going, but they do have a full credit list in the afterwards, of course. Tony Topping is as nutty as a fruitcake. Fruitcaking needs professional help, not rubbish, Steve. Tony is, I got to know Tony well, and he's for real. Boas, who? Boas is a fantasist. Oh, right, that's the Boas, the guy who had sex. Yeah, no one on Earth has had sex with an alien. A lot of people have. Antonio Villas-Boas actually was examined by several people, doctors, psychologists. He was telling the truth. There's no tangible evidence of even one ET species visiting the Earth, let alone many. Wrong, Steve. People would be getting their Nobel Prizes left, right and centre if this was really happening. No, not true, Steve, not true. I've explained why. As usual, it's all science fiction nonsense. Not true, Steve, not true. Fourth Kind Watch Party live stream. I just watched Tony Topping with James Whale. Right, I've not actually seen the whole interview yet. It hasn't been published. The recording hasn't been published yet. I just saw the clip where Tony walks out. Oh dear, Tony tells Whale he was vilely abused as a young lad. Well, he's told everyone that, Steve. I have to wonder how common this is among UFO fantasists. Parks had some issues with his mother, I believe, so he had to invent the alien mother who showed some interest in him. Both Topping and Parks produced drawings of their aliens, but no photographs. No t-shirts made of exotic materials, etc. No actual tangible evidence. How common is this among the UFO community? How many more UFO ET fantasists have been ignored or abused by their parents? How many have been vilely abused? I think this explains an awful lot. What you brought up, Steve, is a very shallow and very lazy way of dismissing the experiences people have. Indeed, that horrible documentary that Simon Parks was in, I was actually asked to be in it too, and I refused. I was very relieved when I actually saw it, and Marie Kayali and others. They try and psychologize away the whole truth. You say there's no evidence. There is evidence. There is photographs actually of aliens. There is exotic materials. Now I don't know how common child abuse and child neglect is among people of the people you unfairly call UFO ET fantasists. I'm not sure that's even relevant. And we have finally the last one on the list. Fourth Kind Watch Party live stream. Steve mumbling. Here's the Alien from Mars Attacks. All right, it's a link here. Mars Attacks is a good film actually. It's a comedy. It was in my I think it was in my funniest films, a Hospital Porter Reacts video. I think it was my second funniest film after The House in Nightmare Park. Just waiting for this to open.
Are you mad?
Oh, it's
I am.
Let me just I'll just put this on display while waiting for this ad to clear. Chantal Alien Abduction, Channel 4. All right, this is just wait. Oh, it's the browser, as you can see, is like hourglassing a bit. There we go. Chantal Piper. This right.
Cigarettes.
Poor Chantal.
Kentucky Fried Chicken. TV. Or.
Oops.
I think that's about it, really. There's not a lot to miss, is there? But it's just most of all I've missed me, my son Dominic.
Chantal is like many abductees who regard the aliens that take them as an extension of their family.
That is a brief clip there from that awful documentary called Confessions of an Alien Abductee. Absolute travesty that I was asked to be involved with and refused. I think Steve is making a joke about Chantal's hairstyle, that she looks like the alien from Mars Attacks that disguises itself as a woman with a big sort of like Helen Shapiro pompadour to trick her way into the White House using. There's that amorous press officer who this alien sort of pretends to seduce. I think you're making a joke about her hairstyle. Very funny, Steve. Very funny. Chantal is a really sweet lady. Actually, I've met her. From what I spent a lot of time talking to her, and I think she was completely misrepresented in that film. Just like all the participants. Do I call them participants? Contestants? What do I call them? Victims sounds a bit patronising, but they are victims in a way. They were completely and utterly misrepresented by this dog turd of a TV show, and the people making it should be ashamed of themselves. And so if you're getting your information about alien abduction from that program, it's no wonder you're way off the mark, Steve. Right, that's the end of the YouTube comments, and I can't believe it. It's we're not even through 2 hours yet. I'll go on to BitChute. If I get the browser to move. Right, BitChute. Okay, comments. Let's go to the comments. Oh dear, right. You do get comment notifications now, luckily. Okay, right. Well, I may be easier just to... No, I was going to say it may be easier just to go to the actual list of my videos that I've just done, but I might miss some comments from older videos. I don't want to miss the comments from older videos, so I'm now going to go through... I'm not on screen capture, am I? No. I'm going to just go down the list, and I'll stop when I come to a comment. So yeah, that's a bloody horrible program. I mean, really, it's a bit, when it comes to the mainstream media, the maxim is just say no. Just say no. Oh, we got right. A new comment on why QAnon is real. It's me. This is why QAnon is real. It's me. Right. What's it say here? Oh, I remember this now. Actually, somebody said here, XXX more XXX says, it's a psyop, you dumb fuck. Q Sharman is a CIA agent provocateur. The answer is no and no on both counts there. You're wrong completely. You dumb fuck. I'll be rude to you if you're going to be rude to me. Scroll down a bit more. Let's go down this list here. And we have Fourth Kind Watch Party live stream. Oh, it's me. It's me. Right. I obviously put in a text. I'll show because my own comments actually appear on the list. Scowling Wolf says, "Hi Ben, I didn't know you were on BitChute." Well, of course, Scowling Wolf. People who make videos like me can't possibly put all our eggs in the YouTube basket, can we? Of course, I'm on BitChute, mate. I'm on Odyssey. I'm on Rumble. I'm on all of those. We'll be coming on to those later. Scroll down a bit more. Alright, keep scrolling, keep on scrolling, keep on scrolling, keep on scrolling. Right, this is... I don't think there's a quicker way to do this, actually, with these things. Of course, I get all my notifications from my channels as well, because I follow so many people. I'm subbed to so many people on BitChute now. But, you know, the actual comments are very obvious because they're slightly bigger entries, so where it says new video and comments, so I can spot them very easily when they appear. Honestly, people like Ray, Vrevar here, absolute heroes when it comes to this. They really are. Funny enough, some of the channels I sub to, I do have to watch through a VPN because, unfortunately, you see, I've been through this before. BitChute is based in Britain. It's actually I've been to the offices. They're in Newbury. Their office is in Newbury. And of course that means that they are subject to various censorship laws. And Ray, I would say, if Ray can afford to, and he can arrange it, you know, you can always headquarter BitChute somewhere else. I mean, he doesn't actually live in Britain; he lives in Thailand, I believe. It would be the perfect thing actually for an up-and-coming third world nation to be like the free speech internet host. And we have here Basis 2022 International Conference. And we have Woden 20. Woden 20 is always it always provides an awful lot of interesting comments. What's he have to say here? Okay, I can't actually read out all of this, unfortunately. The word J, I have to say J, not the actual word you want to say, only came about since the 18th century English translation of the Bible. It was short for a longer word to do with the province of the Roman Empire. These provincials were mostly Edomites who followed the Talmud. In John 8:44, Jesus tells the Jays they belong to their father, the devil. The children of Israel is the bloodline of Jacob, Israel. The land of Israel is the place where they lived. There wasn't a place called Israel. Christianity's been warped beyond comprehension today. The closest language to Hebrew is not Yiddish, it's Welsh. You can also read Egyptian hieroglyphs using Welsh. Strange how the Welsh language was hated. See Welsh not. Right. Now, I've done a video called Jays, as you know, where I debunk a lot of the things associated with the Jays. So, for example, the actual Jay religion is pre-Illuminati, as I said earlier, along with Hinduism. It has this apocalyptic archetype, which has been adopted by the Illuminati religions, though. But the Bible, of course, the whole purpose of the Old Testament is to tell this history. So I don't dispute what you say about the history here, including what Jesus said. Now, as for the closest language to Hebrew is Yiddish. Actually, Hebrew is a Semitic language, so it's quite closely related to Arabic. Colloquial Hebrew is actually a constructed language, in a sense. It is the same as the Hebrew language, the classic language of the J word, but it's been adapted for common use. So it's similar in that respect to other resurrected language like Cornish. Now, no, Hebrew, the closest language to Hebrew is not Yiddish. I know that because Yiddish is a Germanic language. It's actually related, it's actually based on Low German, but it uses the Hebrew script. So I never said that Hebrew and Yiddish were closely related. They're not. But Welsh being closely related to Hebrew. Now that's strange because Welsh is actually Indo-European, not Semitic. It's a Celtic language. It is actually closely related to Cornish, which has been revived. You can read the Egyptian hieroglyphics using Welsh. I don't know, I'm a Welsh speaker, although I'm rather rusty now. I do try to keep it up, but I am a Welsh speaker. I have been spoken it fluently in my time when I was a child. Now, you say the Welsh language was hated, see the Welsh not. Now, I've done a video called Why I'm Not a Welsh Nationalist, in which I debunk a lot of what I would say is the victimhood obsession of the Welsh people. Saying this as a Welshman myself, I believe that the Welsh people have essentially turned their victimhood, or a sense of victimhood, into a form of identity, a part of our national identity, even in a strange way our self-esteem. And I think that's very unhealthy to do that. It can drag us into sort of, for example, self-pity and things like that, which you see with wokeists and feminists. So the actual evidence, the Welsh knot actually was that's where they used to make kids sit in a corner with a wooden W hanging from a string around their neck. There's actually evidence. There's very little evidence that was regularly used. Yet it's perpetuated as a myth by Welsh nationalists who see themselves as victims. Now, as for reading Egyptian hieroglyphs using Welsh, I don't know. See, Egyptian hieroglyphs were indecipherable until the Rosetta Stone, which is basically a bilingual Greek-Egyptian text on stone. Egyptian is actually, I think, an isolate, rather like Sumerian. I think it may have influenced the Semitic languages, but I don't know about the Indo-European. Anyway, thank you for your comment, Woden. That was very interesting. Thank you very much. Moving on. Go down a bit further, and Georgia Guidestone's live stream. Sweeps. We have Sweeps Foxman. Sweeps 2 Fox, right, says here. And here he is. Sweeps makes some good videos himself on his channel, actually. Thumbs up, super usual, Ben, considering all the incidental intelligence, myths and conspiracy theories involving your subject topics. Difficult to get a lot of factual insights into things obscured, quote unquote, and keep people running in circles with their own neurotic takes on meanings. I'll leave this word salad for your interpretation. You do it well, Sweeps. Thanks, Sweeps. I mean, you don't, obviously, you're not going to agree with everything I say. You mentioned this in your own video, though. You brought up something to do with this in your own video. Obviously, the Georgia Guidestones I see as something very, very sinister, and I am celebrating their demolition. I think as a symbolic gesture, it's extraordinarily important. Yet, of course, there are other ways of seeing it. I happen to think it couldn't be a false flag, because otherwise you'd have the whole list of people. The tinfoil hat wearing loonies already on display in the media, and you don't see that. Now we have Emlyn-Jones, who says, I can't actually read this out, unfortunately, but it's fat and a rude word. I'll just say fat cunt. It's something equally rude. Emlyn-Jones says fat cunt. Emlyn-Jones, I know you are. Alright then, here we go. A bit further down. Let's keep scrolling. Reply to comments 61, sorry, reply to comments 61. We have here. The Death Beats says, hello Ben mate, just showing you some BitChute love. This is Gary, by the way, cheers. Hey Gary! I recognise your avatar. Hello, welcome to BitChute land. I'm glad you're over here, The Death Beats. Gary Robinson. Scrolling down a bit further, here we go. I'll try and find a quicker way to do this. Oh right, we got lots of comments now. Oh right, these are my comments on a streetcar named Stargate. Let's have a look here, because there's maybe comments I haven't actually replied to. All right, no, I replied to those. That's a streetcar, one of the streetcar named Stargate, and that's 2 of 2. This is 1 of 2. Or is it the same one? Did I get it wrong? Yes, I did. Okay, so it's the other one. It's 2 of 2. Because the streetcar named Stargate was a 2-parter because it went over 4 hours. This video is not going to be very long, over 2 hours. Hang on, they're both the same. Oh, they're both one of two. Sorry, right. Jet fuel hoax. I've actually put a few comments there myself. And let's have a look. Has anyone actually added any more since then? No, they haven't. Okay, so that's it for BitChute. I'm not going to forget this time, guys. Back up to the top and click mark all as read. Oops, what's that? That's my phone making noises. And delete all. There we go. Right now on Odyssey. Now I've made some Odyssey notes because some of my Odyssey videos. If someone posts a comment on an old video on Odyssey, then I don't get to see it unless I make a note of the comment within 10 days. Because within 10 days, everything's deleted. All your records are deleted. Your subs, notifications of uploads, everything is deleted on Odyssey. That's what BitChute does not do, and it's one of the things that I think I'd like to see improved on Odyssey. Oh, God. Everything, sorry, it's running a bit slow at the moment. Come on, pedal hard. All right, so I'll go back to. I think I'll just go around again. Oh, come on in. My browser's running very slow, probably because I've got the media player going. Let's have a look at my phone while I'm waiting. What's that? New spotlights, relationships. Oh, God. It's a nice new phone I've got, actually. It's pretty good. It was actually a present from somebody. It's second hand, but it's like a really good one. Okay, guys, I can't actually do Odyssey comments at the moment because my browser has frozen up. What I have to do is wait for. I'm actually just 5 minutes. In fact, that's handy. I was going to say I was 5 minutes from the end. I'm actually no seconds from the end. I'm just now trying to open the tab with my comments on. I'll tell you what. I'll just stop recording now. Okay, guys, I'm back for hour number 3. I'm not even bothered with the timer now. I'm not going to bother with the timer because we basically just got Odyssey and Rumble to do. So I'm going to just I have notices from my recent videos. I'll go through my recent videos, and I've also made notices of some of the old ones. So we'll just go to my channel on Odyssey first, and just see what's actually on Ben the JR Porter on Odyssey. I'll go through ever since the last live stream. I'll go through all of those first. So starting with, there's ads here. So starting with reply to comments 61. Let's see what happens. Again, my browser's a little bit slow, so I'll try and keep you entertained while I'm waiting for pages to open and things like that. I'll have to be like these sports commentators. These sports commentators when nothing's happened and what they're going to talk about, you know. Okay, reply to comment 61, and there are no comments. And so, Basis 2022 International Conference and Workshops. Just waiting for the browser to open, the page to open. Oh, I have a comment here. I have a comment, and it is. Oh, I actually put in a text comment. All right, just click pause on that. The text comment is from someone called Angel Gabriel 8. Gabriel spelled like the girl's name. It was so great to watch you visiting all my old stomping grounds. The Royal Oak, Devizes, Weatherspoons, the King's Head in Salisbury. I've just returned from staying there for 2 days, and best of all, and closest to me, the Barge. Loved your chatty style. I've met Miles before in my local, in Avebury. I'll definitely come to the next one, thanks. And I actually wrote, that would be brilliant, Angel. Glad you enjoyed the video, thanks. So, Angel, yeah, please, it'd be great for you to come to these conferences, you know, because you sound like you're the kind of person, you know, you're familiar with the West Country, you'd like this sort of thing. So, yeah, by all means, it'd be great to see you there. Thanks for the comment. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. And so now, Ben Emlyn-Jones on Roswell 75. Scrolling down, we have a comment from. We have several comments here, and quite large ones here. There we go. We have Trust Nobody. That's a good name. Besides the Roswell craft, maybe suffering a lightning strike. We know that our own aircraft had crashed due to a microburst where the aircraft was perfectly fit to fly. Assuming that the Roswell craft was totally alien in origin, what possible knowledge would they have had of wind shear if it was their first visit here? As for the laughable attempt to cover up, the US government intelligence agencies and military have gotten a little better at this over than ensuing decades, yet they still have the mainstream media puppets in their pockets. I remember watching Jesse Marcel Jr. for the first time, and he came across as credible first-hand witness of the alien materials, and I can't think of any interview where the story changed or was embroidered in any way. The memory metal has often struck me as the perfect answer to NASA's need for a strong but lightweight metal for the Apollo program's lunar excursion module, and if they ever found a way of back-engineering it, they could never admit to its origin. If this was the case, NASA would certainly water down its fabulous otherworldly properties by likening it to 2 or 3 layers of ordinary kitchen foil, and have the astronauts say that you could easily bodge a hole through it. Right, yeah. Thanks, very good comment, Trust Nobody. What makes UFOs crash? Well, there are weapons that apparently the secret space program have in their arsenal for attacking UFOs, alien spacecraft. Rather like it's a bit like the TV series UFO. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was a Jerry Anderson live action show from the 70s. Very good. It was pretty good actually, about an interplanetary war between Earth and extraterrestrials in the future. But there are a few, very few reports of combat between Earth militaries and aliens, and in almost all those reports the humans come worse off. However, these alien spacecraft are not invulnerable, and several things seem to affect them. I mean, there's several people say they're affected, but there are weapons, like I said. But a lot of crash retrievals are associated with violent thunderstorms, as if the electrical potential and and maybe possibly the orgone or the Hutchison effect built up in thunderstorms has some effect on the workings of UFOs, the alien spacecraft. And so, whatever the reason, it seems that there are a lot of violent thunderstorm. Often is a prelude to a obviously not every violent thunderstorm. There's been loads here. We haven't had UFOs crashing in them, but when a UFO crash crash happens, it very often follows a thunderstorm. Indeed, that was the case with Roswell, and I actually report it. I relate it in a fictional form in my book, Roswell Rising: A Novel of Disclosure. It was a laughable attempt to cover things up. I mean, they've changed their story 4 times now about what it was. I mean, it's ridiculous. And every time they come up with a new story, you know, they say, "Oh no, this time we're telling you the truth." It's ridiculous, crazy. Jesse Marcel Jr., Dr. Jesse Marcel Jr., a doctor, like I said, he's a qualified man who worked his whole life in medicine, curing people. He was actually a combat medic attached to a helicopter squadron in the Iraq War. So yeah, very sensible, level-headed guy. Doctors can't mess around with fantasy. So yeah, and a lot of the witnesses are these kinds of people. They're not all tinfoil hat wearing, binocular wielding loonies like me. They are level-headed people. As for the memory metal, you may have, I don't know if you've watched the videos where I actually discussed this, but Anthony Bragalia did a FOIA and managed to get 11 pages from a 174-page document involving things like metamaterials. This ties into the Bigelow project with ATIP. You know, I'd love to see what was in those pages that were too hot for FOIA, but they deliberately seem to fudge the whole idea about where it came from. But they describe properties in these metals which are similar to those observed by Jesse Marcel Jr., because his father, Jesse Marcel Sr., actually brought the wreckage home for he and his wife Vio to look at in the early hours of the morning before he took it into the base. Yeah. And we have another video, Trust Nobody. So we have another comment on the same video. Thank you for that comment, Trust Nobody. Very, very good one. And as for them using, so I should add, as for them using it in, for example, space exploration, like NASA using it for their craft, it's possible they have adapted it for industry. In fact, this was the whole point of the document Bragalia managed to get a hold of. It was essentially a sales pitch for this being used in industry of various kinds, including, they mentioned specifically aviation and aerospace. So yeah. Trust in Nobody again says here, excellent video. Thanks, Trust in Nobody. Cash-free shops because of Yeah, makes me think of my parents who only dealt in cash because neither had a bank account. Yeah, it's the best way to be, I think. Yeah, pandemonium. Yeah, it is the best way to be. I think simply don't have certainly a current account. I would say you can function quite easily without a current account. Obviously, ordering things online, you need some kind of account. Yeah, but have an account, but just withdraw everything from it as soon as you get it. That's the best thing to do. And just put money in when you want to order stuff online. An old man attempted to buy a TV from a high street store that deals in sales on credit, and because they were nowhere near as bright as they thought they were, they insisted that they had no means of selling the TV set to the old man, even when he told them he'd pay the usual full price, including interest right there and then. Rather than open a bank account, the old man tried to do online shopping and bill paying through my late sister, but he was frustrated that without a bank account or no internet, he and mother had become second-class customers, either having to do without or having to miss out on discounts that were only given to those paying direct debit, items that were sold online at a discount, or items not held in the store and sold online only. Yeah. I don't think they're ever going to pass a law banning cash straight, certainly not immediately. What they'll do is it's a long march through the institutions, to coin a phrase, whereby they just make more and more things cashless. They add a few every time there's some kind of crisis. They add a little bit more to the the cashless thing, and they make a few more things cashless. They come out with new rules and things like that. Until eventually, there's so many cashless things that people who just use cash are getting more and more pushed to the margins of finance and the economy and retail. And more of them will be pressured into getting bank accounts just so they can function. So when it comes to the actual abolition of cash payments, it'll kind of simply be a rubber stamping of a situation that already exists. Unless people wake up to this whole thing and start insisting on using cash. That's what we have to do. At the moment, unfortunately, it seems like there's not much call for that, although that could change. Thanks, Trust and Nobody, for those comments. Trust Nobody, Heatwave 2022 live stream. We have Trust Nobody again. Right. Pause. I did actually put some text comments to Trust Nobody, because he or she always puts stuff on my comments. Experiencing the 1976 drought means one compares everything with that. We were lucky that the standpipe was right outside our house. I remember how the reservoirs began to look like great swathes of crazy paving, and of course the cheerful announcement that rain was on its way, and we could thank Dennis Howell MP, the Minister for Drought. As for climate change being down to human behaviour, I think the sun has proven how puny we really are. Fear is the best weapon in controlling the proles. Thus anyone who promotes the idea that carbon emissions are an evil, the puerile Greta Thunberg, Thuddener ilk, etc., get plenty of coverage by the mainstream media, while anyone who with a brain gets shouted down as a crank or refused to voice totally. Yeah, it's a steep hill to climb, isn't it? Trust Nobody. I mean, the whole climate change message is so... It's so prevalent now. There's the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change. There are carbon taxes. Every government has its own climate change officer and things like that. This is being used as certainly one of the crises that is being planned to replace the C word. Definitely, yeah. The C, was it you called? Pandemonia. Yeah, so that's coming up, I think. But thanks for that comment, Trust Nobody. We'll get there. We must persevere. That's all we can do, is persevere and hope for the best. The Fourth Kind Watch Party review. No comments. The Hunt for CM24. This is an Alt Tech exclusive. You only find it on my Alt Tech sites.
Hospital port.
No comments. You may have noticed I did my usual thing with the notification, made it rather ironic, I know. The Fourth Kind Watch Party live stream. No comments. Oxford Graffiti 2.
Little Porter's Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.
4 comments. We've got 4 comments from Don't Have Vids. Hey. Great work. Thanks, don't have vids. And thank you from IRE and DE. So I think that's Ireland and Germany. DE is Deutschland, isn't it? Or Denmark? Is it Denmark? Deutschland or Denmark? Oh, bloody spam. Don't be silly. I'm just not spam. It's a reply to comment stuff. And don't have vids says, take care, God bless. And I said, I won't put a reply to comments thing. I just say, thank you, DHV. God bless you too. Okay, that's the Odyssey done. Oh, no. I've got to go through my notes, haven't I? I've got to go through my notes. There's some vid on older vids. Yes, I have. Oops. Right, so notes. Alright, here we go. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Right, well, yeah, I've got one. Is Paul McCartney dead? Okay, so I'll just go to... The easiest way to do this is simply go to the HPANWO radio blog. McCartney. So I've got an Odyssey comment on Is Paul McCartney dead, an old video. Come on, that's it. So let's have a look. Right click, open. Okay. Trust nobody says here. Oh no, I've already done that one. That was 17 days ago. All right. These are old ones. So where's the new one? All right, I'll go through it. Trust. I've already put thanks for comment things from the last video. 2 months, 19 days. What's this? In all due respect, check out the DNA evidence. That will make your mind up. Yeah, and I mentioned Sir William and Paul's son. And he says, yeah, Paul's daughter... I don't know why I've got notes on. Why have I got the notes here? I don't know. Paul's daughter from a get-together in Germany was not a match for Fall. However, matched with Paul's brother. Game over. Yeah, exactly. That would be pretty conclusive. If Shepard and this girl, Paul's daughter, don't have a matching DNA, then that proves that Shepard is not her father. And then, trust... I couldn't make it to the end of the video because of the clunking of the camera being messed around. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. Trust nobody. And I did actually, I think, mention that on the last video. So that's that done. So that's Paul McCartney. Is Paul McCartney dead? So next one. Let's go down here. These are my notes. What video is this on? Heatwave 2022. Okay, these are ones I already know about. Hang on a sec. There's this one comment here, and I don't know what video it's on. It says Heatwave 2022 live stream. I'm just going to double check to make sure I actually have answered all those comments. Otherwise, it could be he's deleted them, and I just, yeah. Right then, okay. No, it's not here. So anyway, this is how the comment goes when I recorded it. By the way, Ben, you drinking copious amounts of lime juice immediately made me think of the TVM Anatomy of an Illness, where Ed Asner plays editor and journalist Norman Cousins, who supposedly beat ankylosing spondylitis through massive doses of vitamin C and laughter. There's a scene where he's lying in bed and the nurse asks for a urine sample. Out of sight, he fills it with orange juice and says to the nurse that it looks a bit off and says he'll filter it a bit more and drinks the sample. Of course, she goes off screaming on a screaming fit while he's laughing to beat all hell. Maybe it's your face, but I could imagine you pulling a similar stunt. I'm sure I did answer that. Maybe again, these may be notes that I accidentally left over from a previous video. So in which case, I can only apologise. But anyway, that's that done. Right then, guys, it's on to Rumble. While I'm waiting for the browser to open, there we are, Rumble. There we go. While I'm doing that, I'll just save this. I'll just save part 2. Save project. Alright, here we go. Right. Feature phone small. C2. I'll save it to... I've actually got a folder now, but I'll save it to downloads. I might as well keep these two things together. Okay, still recording, aren't I? Yeah, okay. Right then, now notifications on Rumble. I'll just go through content again because I don't understand quite how notifications on Rumble work. So I'll just do the same thing I did last time. So reply to comment 61. No comments. Basis 2022 International Conference and Workshops. No comments. Ben Emlyn-Jones on Roswell 75. Oh, pardon me. I think everyone's going to be quiet on Bumble again. Oh, I have a comment here. This is Darshana Shocker. Right, Darshana Shocker. I'm glad. Nice to have a comment on Rumble. Oh, looks like you posted the comment. No, it's not spam, for goodness sake. This is some links here to Rumble videos. Hey, Ben, do you have the moral courage to do a video recorded review of these two attached Rumble video channels? I seriously predict the internet controllers, the cabal, will not let you upload the video review to the internet. I'm not trying to promote my Rumble video channels. I'm only interested in exposing the genuine truth to the world. Do you dare prove me wrong? Alright, well, I'll tell you what, these are not links, so I'm going to go to... I'll go to your channel. Okay, oh, no videos found. Okay, so... Alright, well, I'll have to cut and paste them then. Let's just hope I hope these are complete links and not just, like, corrupted links or shortcuts. Or short links. Let's just have a look. Here we go. Alright, I am subscribed to this channel, Darshan. Our Fireballs are ETVs, and I actually watched these videos, and I did tell you what I thought of them, I believe. I think I did. Okay, here's another one here. This looks like an incomplete link, but I'll try it anyway, Darshan. It's nice to be... Thanks for commenting on Rumble, anyway. Oh, this is Meteorites are ETVs, and I am actually subbed to this one. There's... Oh, I've watched these as well. Heaven's Gate, Stephen Greer, Murder, UFO Occults, and NATO. Yep, I have watched these. I can't remember what I said about them, but I think I did leave you a comment. If not, I will do so. But thank you very much for those. Anyway, thanks very much for those, Darshan. Heatwave 2022 live stream. No comments. Was that actually the one I did? Was just checking I haven't skipped a video. No, I haven't. Right. The Fourth Kind Watch Party review. No comments. The Hunt for CM24 Alt Tech exclusive. No comments. The Fourth Kind Watch Party live stream. No comments. And finally, Oxford Graffiti 2. No comments. Okay, that's Rumble done. Going to go back now to... I'll go back now to my channel comments on YouTube. So let's just refresh the YouTube page and wait for it to open. Wait for it to open, everybody. Yes. Oh, my browser's slow. It's hourglassing terribly, but that's how it goes. Do I have any notifications? There probably will be some people saying, you're making a video. I want to be first in the new one. I want to be first. Okay, I'll wait for the notifications to appear. Alright, here we go. I've got one notification. So wait for it. Okay, the page is not open now. Notifications. Oh, it's just a slapped ham video notifications. Right, you are. Okay. So that's. I think I'll just refresh this page just to be on the safe side. Channel comments and things like that, and then I'll call it a night. It's now. Oh, this has not been very long. This video is actually going to be just... Let's have a look. 23 minutes. The third hour, 23 minutes into the third hour. Nope, no more comments. Right, guys, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's left a comment on this 60-second comments reply video. That's very much appreciated. For obvious reasons, if it wasn't for your comments, these videos wouldn't happen. So I appreciate every single one of the comments I've had. Even some of the rude ones were quite amusing, and I could have fun with them and create entertainment. So thank you for those too. Much appreciate everyone who watches, especially if you share my videos around. Beat those algorithms, guys. That would be very much appreciated too. Now, what's coming up? Well, there actually is not going to be another video for me probably for quite a long time. Probably at least a week. And the reason is, on Wednesday I'm going away. I'm going away somewhere. Exciting. And yes, I will be taking my trusty HPANWO TV camera with me. And I will be doing some videos, which I will turn into a HPANWO TV video. So when I get back, I will edit that and upload it. But I'm actually returning on a Monday week. So it'll be sometime after that. Probably not too long after that. The video will be available, so keep a good lookout for that. I look forward very much to you watching that. So in the meantime, thank you very much everyone who's watched this video, everyone who watched the other videos on my channel. I really appreciate your support and your interest. Thank you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.